And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
Attention to roll call.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. 8:05 live Eastern time. And of course, thank you to the chat, friends and listeners. The chat's already moving pretty quick. We appreciate it. It's your Friday roundtable. This is a hell of a story. Hell of a story in the NYPD, hell of a story in New York City. So an NYPD recruit was arrested at the police academy for an alleged rape. Well, you're innocent until proven guilty, but it does tell you the NYPD only hires the best right now. So let's jump right into this roundtable. John, Marlon, good morning, brother.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I see Hassan Mo's a little active in the chat this morning.
Surprising.
Eddie West, yeah. You
guys chatter.
Don't you people sleep? Like, what's wrong with you guys?
Hassan definitely doesn't sleep, brother. I don't know when that guy sleeps.
Yeah, I know. I turn on Sal's show. He's on. I'm like, come on, dude. Go to bed. Yeah. So
it's the life of the midnights.
So what happens? Yesterday, we find out NYPD recruit was arrested at the police academy. 100% I agree. People are innocent until proven guilty. But I think the thing that's different now is everyone questions the quality of hiring in the NYPD. Everyone questions the hiring of recruits. And it's rightfully so. I mean, look, you're calling people back who failed the criminal background check. You're allowing people who failed the drug test to become clean while they're in the academy. I mean, does anyone think that that's a good idea? Like, does anyone think that's a good idea? You're calling people back that failed the psych. I understand the physical aspect where you could call people back. Like, hey, look, you're out of shape, get in shape, and then we'll hire you. I understand that. That's completely fine. That's normal. I think that's what we should be doing. Looking to improve people, looking to make people better, looking to get people on here that actually meet the standards. I got no issue with the physical, but the crime, the criminal background check, the psych test, and I know we got the issues with the psych test, so that one we'll put to the side a little bit. A competent psych test. If you fail a competent psych test, there's a problem. And then we're still calling you back. But don't you think that's a problem too? So I mean, everyone's questioning the quality of the recruits, and I don't blame them. So article comes out from the New York Post about this, and it's basically saying that the kid, the recruit, was busted for allegedly raping a woman he met online, claiming to be a masseuse in training. So now it's a real weird story. They're in a hotel room. He gives her a massage, and then she's saying he forcibly makes her do oral sex. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know how do you meet a dude online, and the next thing you know, you're in a hotel room? Like, I don't know. The story's very, very strange to me. I'm not crucifying this kid right away, and I'm not discrediting the claims of the potential victim either. I just don't know what happened. This is a weird story. This could have happened at any time. When we came out on the job 20 years prior to us, 10 years after us. So, but the reason that there's so much emphasis on now is just the quality of recruits, and everyone sees it. When you see the pictures of people coming out of the academy, you're like, that person went through an academy. They look like they're completely out of shape. They're unshaven. They're not clean. They don't look disciplined. Like, what academy did they go to?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Morning, chat. Happy Friday. I think I'll be the one to say it. I think that story has enough holes in it to drive like a SUV through. I think it's missing a lot. And come on, he just picked her up online, and they're already in a motel room. Well, what are we missing here? Now I'm not going to. I agree. I'm not going to crucify this kid, but I'm at the same time, I'm not going to defend him either. I think this needs to play out first, and we need to hear the full story of it before we come to any conclusions. And I think there's a lot that's missing from it. Again, I'll say one thing though. He's certainly not smart about the way he went about things. And I'll say this: I have a feeling that he, at some point, he must have told her that he's a recruit for the NYPD. And we've talked about this before, that you're a celebrity, once you're in the NYPD. And apparently this kid doesn't know. And, it sounds like it sounds like he might be about to find out the hard way. And again, though, there's a lot of context missing from the story, and we need to let it play out first. But John is absolutely right about the quality of recruits that we're getting.
Good morning, friends and listeners. So, Life After the Job says, sounds like a prostitute that found out he was a cop. Excuse me. There's definitely some holes to that story, and it doesn't seem to actually make total sense. However, I do believe you're innocent until proven guilty. And I do believe that this story doesn't really jive. But what I think is important to understand about that is when we got on the job, or in the past, you took this job, you valued it so much that you wouldn't put yourself in a position that could potentially just give you a spotlight. And that's where I think things have changed, right? Because I think the kids today that take this job, and the reason I say is I speak to young sergeants and I speak to cops on a constant basis, and they tell me all the issues they're having with brand new rookies with 6 months on the job that are having alcohol issues. 6 months they're taking psych meds or different various issues just to show there's no value in the job anymore. And so while I do believe he's innocent until proven guilty, I believe that when we got on the job, and John and I were talking about this the other day, you would be very careful. And I'm not saying that you have to live a life of just complete restriction, but you were careful. There were certain restaurants you didn't go to, certain clubs or certain bars, because you knew there was a potential for a problem. And you wouldn't put yourself in a situation, you wouldn't pick up a prostitute if that's the case here, or you wouldn't put yourself in a situation with a woman, or if you're or if you're a woman, you wouldn't put yourself in a position with a man where someone could have leverage on you, especially known, because they used to preach, right, to protect the patch, right? That's ultimately what your job was, to protect the patch and never tell anyone you're a cop, right? That's something also. So to me, it looks like there's a potential situation. Maybe she was a prostitute, or maybe something happened with this woman, and maybe that was the lure, that was the mystique, is that he said he was a cop. Maybe that's what happened here. But I think ultimately that's what it comes down to, is that we would not put ourselves in those positions. And I think that's really what's important, to show that we value the job much more than it's valued right now, because I think most of the kids that are taking it right now, they don't come from a D&T. This is a stepping stone to something else, or they're just there because they need a job.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, I don't know. Again, I think there's a big problem with the online world. Like, I think we should make bars, lounges, and clubs great again. And when you're looking to go get laid, you go out there, and sometimes you strike out, and sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? I think when you're single, that's the better option. When you're meeting people online, you have no idea who you're meeting. So you're meeting someone online that you really don't know. You guys meet up at a hotel room. So yeah, I mean, does it look like it could be a prostitute? It looks that way to me. You know what I mean? But maybe it doesn't. Who knows? They have all these apps now where people are meeting up just to have sex. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy either. I'm not really afraid of anybody. And I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't just go meet some girl at a hotel room like, oh yeah, meet me here. Like, no, I'm good. I'm not that horny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you really gotta be like, if you're a cop, you should really be thinking about that. Like, is this smart for me to do? Is this a smart move? And then, the story is basically, she's alleging that he raped her. But why'd you meet him at the hotel room in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, what did you think you guys were going to do when you met up at the hotel room and he was telling you he's a masseuse? He was a masseuse in training. But yeah, I agree with you, Marlon. Like, even when I was out, like, I wasn't wearing like a police shirt on Tuesday night out at the bar or Wednesday night out at the bar. I absolutely was not. I would tell everybody I'm everything else other than a cop until you get to know people. And you're like, all right, this girl's a nurse. She's a teacher. She's a district attorney. Then you could talk to people, right? You know people. But just right off the glance, I think that whole online dating, to me, I'm just glad that I wasn't around for it. I like meeting people in person. I don't trust anybody that it's on the internet. you see how many people are scams. Like, how many people are on the internet right now pretending to be me? You know what I mean? So like, I'm like, why would I trust anything, any photo? I don't know who you are. I'm not meeting you anywhere. You know, I'm especially not meeting you at some CDS hotel room like, that I don't even want to sit on the damn bed. Like, what the hell's what? Like, you know. So I think the whole thing is this stuff. Like, when you're a cop, you shouldn't be engaged in it. But I think ultimately, like, this is where people get in trouble, right? When you talk about with girls, when you talk about alcohol, when you talk about stuff like that, that's always been like a little underbelly with male cops, that the potential for you getting jammed up for doing dumb things is there when you're young and horny.
Yeah, I think that underscores the point that the job should be valuing like experienced cops and trying their damnedest to keep them on the job rather than, you know, letting them go. Because again, as we're seeing, the quality isn't there, you know, because really who wants to be a cop in New York City, you know? And clearly the job has, as we talked about before, the job has an agenda going on now to, you know, influence the say the demographics of the job. Yeah. So I think if the job actually, if the people at the top were really thinking and really smart, they would have been, you know, there'd been a full court press to keep guys, prevent guys from retiring. You know, make it make offers to them, make the job such a pleasant place that, you know, you don't have to constantly fight attrition. You know, but sadly, we're not seeing that. So I'm gonna say that we're probably gonna see more of this as time, as you know, time goes on, especially since young people, like, you go to a bar and like everybody's like on the phone, you know, especially young, you know, the young people, and unlike us, they grew up, they've always had the internet in their lives, and they've never known a time when the internet didn't exist. So things like online dating is like normal to them, you know.
John Giglio, friend here in the comments, says, Eric, don't judge a story until you actually know what happened. So we don't know what happened, and we're just saying, based on our observations of what we do know, what we think are the possible what are the possibilities of what possibly could have happened. And the reason why we could say that is because we've seen similar cases before. We've all had potential rape cases that turned out to be just, you know, a complete mess. And unfortunately, most of the alleged rape cases that I've been presented with while in almost 20 years with the NYPD, most of them, unfortunately, were false claims. And it turned out to be a complete story that was actually put out there. It's unfortunate. It actually makes it bad for women that are legitimately raped. Now, if this woman was raped, I think that he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But it just doesn't sound right. I mean, if you're a woman, intelligible woman, especially in the world that it is today, if you're going to a hotel room with a man, you have to kind of assume what you're potentially there for, right? You're not going to a hotel room just to talk, right? You could go talk in a lounge, you could go to a coffee shop, you go to a restaurant. If you go into a hotel room, which is very private with you and someone else, you have to assume that potential for sex is there. Absolutely. Now, did it get to some point where he forced himself on it? I don't know. We don't know what happened. Was she a prostitute? Was he pretending to be a masseuse? We don't know. But what we do know is the story doesn't seem to jive. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem to be, it's something that meets the eye. And that's absolutely true. But I think, going back to my point, and I think that's really what's important, and I think you guys have to agree, that when we got on the job, that we understood not to put yourself in situations where someone else or a situation could have leverage on you, right? Not to put yourself in that predicament. And don't tell people that you're a cop, because that puts just another flag on you and an opportunity for people to take advantage of you. And even when things were good, I would tell the guys that used to work with me, especially young guys that were single, you know, if you're going out there and a girl's just willing to give it right up to you and she knows you're a cop, you got to take a step back and ask yourself, you know, why is she doing this, right? Why is she doing this? And could this potentially cause you a problem, right? Could you find yourself at the end of civil liability? You got to be careful. You got to be careful, and you got to be smart. And to your point, Marlon, I agree. I mean, thank God I never had to do any online dating, and I didn't grow up in that. But that's what these kids today grow up. They grow up, it's online dating or it's texting. They don't actually have meeting face to face. So that really is their gateway, and that's that way that they meet women or women meet men. So I don't really know that world too much, dating online, and I'm sure you guys don't either. So you and I, we all think the same thing. Like, I want to go to a hotel room and meet some girl I'd never seen before, and I can handle myself, and we all can handle ourselves, but we just want to put ourselves in a vulnerable position. But that's the dating world right now, online. So I guess I can understand that. But at the same token, I'm not judging him and I'm not judging her. But just based on my observations, what I've seen before, it doesn't jive. It doesn't.
No, yeah, I think it's a lesson for everybody. Honestly, it doesn't even matter if you're looking to date somebody or if you're attending a business meeting, you're traveling on business, whatever it is. Like, you understand the situation you're getting yourself into, right? And like, that should ultimately you should always be thinking about this when you're a cop. I remember recently a cop, a few years back, rest in peace, cop off duty was killed meeting someone buying a car. Meeting them in a McDonald's parking lot or a Burger King parking lot, like that. You got to really think of the situations you're putting yourself in, and how are you going to explain this should the situation go bad? And I think when you look at things like that, you should be really smart if you're a cop. If you're online dating, you should treat it like you're almost married at this point and you don't know what you're going to do. So you should go like, hey, look, you want to meet up? Let's meet up at a Starbucks. Let's meet up at this restaurant. Let's meet up at a busy place. I'm not going to meet you in the parking lot. Meet me at some place where we're already on camera, right? Like, because you're on camera doing everything until you figure out who this person is. And then, you guys could start to build a relationship. To go meet somebody online that you just met online at a hotel, or even have them come to your house or you go to that house, that is a dangerous, dangerous spot. I don't care if physically, I don't even care if you are a big guy in shape and you're some like tactical genius or whatever. I don't even care. It's a very vulnerable spot for you to put yourself into, for you to meet someone that you don't even know. You don't know who that person is. Again, it could be me. You could have this beautiful girl, and then you show up, and it's me there with lipstick on. Like, hey, baby, like what? Like what? How do you know who you're meeting online? And so that's one. I think you got to be super smart. You got to think about.
I'm trying to picture that right now, John. I'm picturing you in a dress with makeup on.
No, because it just made me sick to my stomach. So I was like,
you with lipstick?
Even thinking about it.
You're a big dude, man. That looks kind of funny.
But I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, you really don't know who you're interacting with online. Like, you never know. Like again, sometimes people get taken. Like, I got messaged about one of the fake people that were messaging a girl, and she was like, John, are you married? I was like, yeah, why? She's like, why are you messaging? I'm like, I'm not messaging you. What are you talking about? And she's like, oh shit, it's a fake handle. And I'm like, see, like, this is like, you don't know. Now imagine she went through the whole thing. Oh, I'm going to meet John for dinner. No, you're not. Like, you're meeting somebody online. You don't know who the hell they are. And don't interact with me, by the way, online, unless it's the check mark and it's me. Like, don't interact with these fake accounts. But like, that's the thing that I think, the discipline's not there, the know-how's not there. But Pat Donahue brought up a good point where they said this is a result. The arrest came as a result of an IAB investigation. Well, was the encounter an IAB investigation? Was the recruit being investigated by IAB prior to that encounter? Or was there an IAB investigation immediately after the allegation was made and then the arrest resulted as that? That's not clear either, Pat. So I really don't know. I really don't know. I just know I'm never putting myself in that spot. I recommend, if you're a police officer, you don't put yourself in that spot. I don't even care if you're an insurance agent. Don't put yourself in that spot. That's a bad spot.
Yeah, how about you meet women in real life, I'm going to say, and get off the internet, okay? I mean, if you think about it, you're only getting the leftovers online, guys. Seriously, okay? Think of it. I'm of the opinion that a woman who has a profile online is a leftover, okay? All right? And you don't want that. Go meet her in real life, okay? Because the thing is, again, women do the what's the phrase? Women do the picking you know, women do the picking. They just have to go outside and there's some dude trying to holler at them. Okay. So if she needs to go online in order to get a date, then I'm sorry, but I question the quality you're getting. And that goes for you too, ladies on the job, okay? Go meet a man in real life, okay? Get off the internet. Keep in mind also that this is the second month in a row that we're getting a young cop accused of some form of rape or the other, okay? Because there was one in November, involving a 15-year-old. So yeah, and that other officer he was new on the job. He came on in 2024. Okay, so I think that it goes back to what John says about the quality of the recruits and the job kind of lowering its standards in order to fill the seats. And these things aren't a good look for us, on top of all the allegations that we've gone through under Eric Adams, we don't need this again. We don't need people thinking even less of the shield now. I see your comment there, Hammer and Bullets. We got a comment from Hammer and Bullets. It's kind of tangent, but he says he mentioned he has a friend that's about to go into acting in a few weeks, and I'm gonna say, Hammer, you should ask Juju. Okay, Juju might be able to give you some pointers on that. Yeah, just a suggestion.
Well, Juju does it all. He's an actor. He's an author. He's a professor. The only thing he's not is a cop. He's a podcaster. He's a critic. Listen, shout out to KB in New York City. I think he's absolutely spot on. Street smarts are lacking these days, and that's my point. Like, you have to be wary of everything, especially growing up in New York City. That's why we often say that, unfortunately, a lot of times the recruitment right now, because they can't get anyone, they're not getting kids that are New York City grown. And does that make or break a good police officer in the NYPD? Not necessarily, but it does help. If you grew up in New York City and you know the streets, you have to know the streets. You know what the streets smell like. You know what they look like. You understand the streets. I think that does help you being a cop. And it does give you street smarts when you grow up in New York City, because you understand that there are a lot of scams out there. And if you're a brand new cop, you have to value your job. You have to say to yourself, if some girl wants to go with you to a sleazy hotel, you have to ask yourself, I mean, this is a little bit easy. I mean, unless you're Don Juan. I mean, I think 1% of men, can get women that easily. So the other 99%, which you probably fall into, this kid here, you got to kind of work for it. So if she wants to go to listen, am I saying you can't go to a sleazy hotel with someone? No. That's your life. That's your choice. But if she's just willing the first time you meet it just to go to a sleazy hotel with you, you got to kind of ask yourself, I don't know, is this the right thing to do? And listen, bottom line is we don't know exactly what happened there. But look at that place. I mean, does that look like a place you want to take someone to? Those sheets are probably disgusting. They probably had bed bugs. I mean, really, you're probably better off just doing it in your car and taking a chance at the corner somewhere than going to that hotel. But if a woman wants to meet you in a hotel in a private location that you really don't know, and she knows you're a cop or a recruit in the police academy, you got to be a little smarter than that. That's why I'm saying we wouldn't take those chances back in the day. I wouldn't. Absolutely not. I don't want to take any chance that's going to get you jammed up with the job. We all knew that. But these kids today, they don't value the job in the same way. They take a lot more chances. They don't care. I don't know if it's because of the standards, or they're just, kids today just don't have the same perception of life. And maybe that's part of it also, because most of the kids today that grow up didn't really have the same interaction, the social atmosphere that we had. A lot of their social atmosphere is online. It's through video games. It's a different world. People grow up differently. And maybe they don't understand that, when you meet a woman, if she wants to go to a sleazy hotel with you the first time, I mean, she's probably not a class act anyway. So you got to be a little smarter. You're absolutely right, KB in New York City. Where's the street smarts here? It's gone. It's gone. When I was young, would I go to a sleazy hotel with a girl if I could take a chance? Of course. I was, But while a recruit in the police academy as a cop, no. I value that I'm not going to take a chance to get in trouble or get jammed up, because that was your career. You saw the longevity of it. You said it earlier, Marlon. We had veteran cops that tell you, listen, don't do this, kid. Don't, and you were guided. they don't have any guidance anymore. There's no one to guide and say, "Whoa, don't be stupid, kid." You know, if you want to get women, you'll get another way.
No, I mean, look at this hotel. I mean, what do you think that occurs in this hotel? Prostitution, drug use, drug deals. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable anywhere in this hotel room. And again, I get you're a 23-year-old kid, you're young, you're horny, you know, but like, don't ever go to this hotel. You know, cops, you make enough money now, and if you don't make enough money, then you don't belong. You don't belong getting a hotel room at all. Go to Starbucks. You know, I think, you know, like I said, I don't want to beat on this one too much. I just think at the end of the day, regardless who you are, but especially when you're a cop, you need to make smart decisions. And that is not a smart decision ever getting a hotel room. I don't care if you're traveling. If you're traveling and you're driving late, I'd rather sleep in my car at a rest stop than go into that hotel room. I'd rather pull over and sleep at a rest stop where there's all truckers than go into that hotel room. I'm not. First of all, it's probably disgusting. The bathroom's probably disgusting. Like, why would you ever go into this hotel room? Like, it's not a good look. And then you're meeting someone online at a hotel room that you don't even know. I mean, someone put it on here. They said, totally doesn't give off about to get murdered vibes. Yeah, 100. Yeah, like that's exactly what it gives off. Like, you know what I mean? I'm about to get murdered. I'm about to get robbed. I'm about to get, you know, my kidneys removed and sold. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's not like the decision making process is not good. And I get when you're 23, when you're 24, and you're a male, you're not too bright. I wasn't too bright either at 23 and 24. But there needs to be people to like. There needs to be that fear of you when you're in the academy. And I think what I see a lot from young cops now, and when I see from recruits, they have no fear. They have no fear of the NYPD. They have no fear of life. They're not worried about keeping this job. Most of them don't even want to stay. So that's a problem when you're looking at people that are coming in the profession that aren't trying to get to the end. That was the ultimate goal, I think, for everyone in my academy. I didn't know anyone in the academy that was like, I'm not trying to get to the end. And now we have people in the academy, you have people on the job, and they don't care. They're not like, this is just a job for them. Then that fear breaks down, and then the decision-making process breaks down. And then you have young, dumb 23-year-old guys that are horny. They're going to make really, really bad decisions, you know, and it's going to embarrass the job, and it's going to be front cover of the paper. Because like I always say, you're a celebrity without the money. You are going to be front cover of the paper, and here you are. You know, well, it's not just us talking about you. It's the mainstream media, the New York Post, everybody, right? And who are you really? Who knew who the hell you were 2 days ago? Before you swore that oath, nobody knew who the hell you were. You swore that oath, you're a celebrity. Congratulations. And you found out the hard way.
Yeah, that's how do you tell a woman she's about to get raped? You bring her to that hotel. Yeah.
It's disgusting, dude. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Dude,
I
just want to say these comments today are off the hook, man. They're hilarious. This one here, I gotta say, Marlon, before I gotta read this one by James McNellis. He said the first indication you might be meeting up with a hoe is when the front desk person knows her on a first name basis. Just saying.
Yeah. So I don't get it. You know, here's the thing about if you're dating online, if you meet a woman in real life, you're talking to her, right? It's easier to like get a like an initial understanding of who she is, right? When you meet somebody online, if you were to meet somebody online, you would have to spend like a longer time talking to them before she feels comfortable enough to probably go out in like a motel with you, right? But the thing is, your first like intimacy with her, you're gonna take her to a cheap motel. I mean, like really, guy? Yeah, yeah. Like we said, you know, guys, go make smart decisions. You know, especially you're a rookie cop. You know, yeah. People don't understand. Like once you become a cop, your life is different. You know, first of all, you don't have the same rights as most people do. You don't. Okay. Second of all, you have to understand that people look at you like a target because you're a cop. They look at you as a target one way or the other. If either it's as a target being they resent you, or you're a walking lotto ticket. Okay. And I don't think these young guys understand what they're getting into, and we talk about the behavior that they exhibit, like the lack of tactics and tactical awareness. And I think this is just another part of that whole all these what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's the package of being a cop that these young guys aren't aware of and they're not prepared for.
Well, I think ultimately, I think what it comes down to, let's be honest, we're not telling anyone how to live their lives. Like, if you want to have a one-night stand, I mean, we've all been there before, but it's just different. It wasn't online. But if you want to have a one-night stand, you have to be a lot smarter, especially if you're shopping around online, right? There are these online websites where that's exactly what people do. I mean, where they're literally meeting just to get laid. So, I mean, but that's their business, all right? You're a grown adult, whatever you want to do, it's fine. But if you're a cop or you're a recruit, you have to be smart in how you do things. For one, you don't want people to know what you do. That was always the rule of thumb for me, or for most of us doing the job. The veterans taught us, never tell anybody you're a cop, right? So, I would always tell people I was a plumber because I, have a lot of experience doing plumbing. I would never tell people I was a cop unless I really got to know them. I mean, especially if you're just looking for a hookup, and this is what this looks like. And is that a sleazy hotel? Yeah. Is that somewhere where I'm going? No, that looks kind of trashy. I don't want to be in a trashy spot. And you have to ask yourself, if some woman's willing to go to a trashy spot, what is she? Now let's play devil's advocate. If this story is true, if in fact he did sodomize her or do, now they call it by the penal law, criminal sexual act. If he is guilty of those, well, you know what? Then I don't want him in the NYPD either. So either way, this whole story is a disaster. Either he's a complete imbecile and he allowed himself to get baited into a bad situation, or he's actually a rapist. So we don't know. And that's why I say he's innocent until proven guilty. But you have to be smart, especially when you're a cop. And listen, not even just on probation, your entire time that you're a cop. And not only that, even in retirement, just in life. Once you become a cop, or once you go into the police academy, you're branded forever. You have that label you can never lose. If you go into the police academy and you actually never finish, someone becomes after 3 months, they decide not to take the job. They're a recruit. God forbid, in 30 years from then, they're accused of a crime. It will say former police recruit so-and-so is charged with such and such. It is always that title. It's like join the mafia. You can never lose it. In 20 years right now, it's still going to be retired Lieutenant Eric Dim, most complained cop, because these are labels that you never lose. You're branded forever. Former detective Marlon, retired Lieutenant John McCarry. You'll never lose these labels. So that's why it's so important. Unfortunately, when you take that leap and you decide to become a cop or enter the law enforcement profession, especially the NYPD, your life changes forever.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if this turns out to be complete nonsense and then the kid goes on and loses his life. Every time you Google his name from the rest of his life, the story is going to come up. You Google his name, it's going to be right there, right at the top. Boop. Recruit. Boop. And it's like, now you have to explain that every time, dude. Every time. I mean, if you're a regular person, this happened to you, the New York Post isn't writing about it, dude. So, like, you got no problems. Like, you'll be all right. People Google your name and it turned out to be nothing. It's never going to come up. Beauty in the Struggle, too, says, why are you guys against online dating? I'm not against online dating. I think, and I don't think they are either. I think we're just saying to, like, be smart. Like, I know people who met online and got married, but they met through, like, reputable sites where, like, you had to verify, you had to pay to be on it. Then they still did their homework. I know for a fact, like, a couple that I could think of right off the bat in my head. My wife's friend was like, hey, I met this guy on, like, I don't remember if it was Match.com, but whatever they were. whatever site people were using at the time. You know, it was years ago. It was probably like 20 years ago. And she's like, I met this cop online. Do you know him? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know him. I went to high school with him. I work with him, like, you know. And then so like you're able to kind of verify like who these people are prior to meeting up. So like if you're meeting people on a reputable site, yeah, if you're on a free site meeting people and it's a site that people go to meet people to have sex, I mean, it's probably not a smart decision for anybody. Not for young people, not for anybody. Like the danger that's there is insane. Look, I was a club kid. I went out all the time. I went to bars, I went to lounges, I went to clubs. And we used to have a saying all the time, like, don't get caught out there. Don't get caught out there. Because, like, I used to go to the Tunnel. I would go to Twilo. I wasn't into drugs, but drugs were prevalent, right? So I didn't want anyone, like, if I had my drink and I left it somewhere, I never drank that drink again because I didn't know nobody spiked it. I didn't know anything. But then, like, we'd be out and, you know, girls are coming over, sometimes attractive girls. And I'd be like, yo, I would come over. Yo, don't get caught out there, bro. Look at the Adam's apple. Check the Adam's apple. Like, and this is online in person. Like, this looks like a beautiful woman coming over to you or one of your friends. And you're like, I don't know, man. Something's not right. Like, you know, she seems like she has a lot of testosterone. You know what I mean? Like, there seems like there's a lot of testosterone flowing through those veins, you know? And you could get caught out there easy, dude. Like, you could get caught out there easy anywhere. And then, like, when you're out and during the club scene too, there was prostitution in there too, where girls would come over like, hey, oh yeah, just so you know, I'm a prostitute. Like, peace, you know, like I'm out, like, you know. And so, like, you got to be real careful, you know. It's just like an age old tale, right? Like in New York, we don't trust anybody, and like you shouldn't trust anybody. Right? When people come over to me trying to talk to me, I'm immediately like, what do they want? Why are they trying to scam me? Right? Like, it's not like that in the South. People are so nice, you know? But like in New York, I'm like, why are you talking to me? Like, what do you want? And that goes for anybody. A pretty girl, an ugly girl, a dude, an older guy, a young. I'm immediately thinking this person's trying to scam me. And if you approach every situation like that, I mean, it's just maybe it's a cynical way to be, but I don't see another way that you could really be and get through this life. And especially when you're living in New York or you're a New York City cop, I don't know another mindset for you to have other than that. It's cynical. It sucks that you have to look at people like that. But if you're not looking at people like that, you're going to get hurt. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Like, you are 100% going to get hurt. You're either going to get caught out there. You're going to get caught online. You're going to get caught in a bad situation like this. You're not going to be like, oh, yeah, we could just go relax in this hotel room. Like, no, you're not relaxing in a hotel room that's set up with hourly rates. You're not. You shouldn't be going to any hotel. You make enough money. Like, you shouldn't be going to $50 hourly rate anyway. Go to a nice hotel. Do something like that. I don't know. I get so not everyone's in the position where they have their own apartment or maybe they have roommates. I don't know the situation, people's living situation, but it's not something I'm ever gonna do. So yeah, I'm cynical, but it keeps you safe.
But John, when you talk about getting caught out there, you're talking about beware trannies.
Absolutely. Y'all, I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I know. I was out in Thailand, and thank God I was out there with the wife and family. But if you're a single guy out there, you got to be careful because you got to. My wife and I used to play a game of walking around in Thailand, Marlon, be like, all right, guess who's who? We'd be like, all right, that one's a woman. I think that one's a man. So you can definitely get caught out there. So I guess if you keep it a secret, you're all right. By the way, Marlon, you got to. I'm not going to read this comment out loud, but you have to read this one. This one's hilarious. I told you so back one. If anyone has a chance, you got to read that. It says online dating is for losers. Anyone can send a blank pic online. It takes a real man. It takes a real man to disappoint in person. So if you get a chance, that's pretty fun.
Yeah. I just think you're not going to find a quality woman online. You're not, just by the nature of the dynamics between male and female. Because again, most women just have to walk outside the door and there's some dude ready to holler at them, you know? So if she has to resort to going online to pick up a man, then that's to me, that's giving off red flags, you know?
But let's be honest, Paul, when you were a kid, when you were young, were you always looking for a quality woman? Let's be honest. I wasn't when I was young. I wasn't always looking to to find a woman to date. Sometimes you were looking just to get laid. Let's be honest. You're a young guy. So, but it's a different world today. They're not meeting girls in person, and they're meeting them online, and they're meeting at trashy hotels. So it's a different dynamic. I mean, like I said, I never had to date online, and neither did you. And we were kind of fortunate. It's a different world today. It's a world that we really don't know.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you in that. Like when I was in my early 20s, I was looking to get laid, but I was looking for grade A. You know, I'm not looking looking to be the wingman. You know, I'm looking to, you know, I need the wingman. Yeah.
I know. We had to say it, man. We
Yeah.
used to say sometimes you get a 10, but sometimes 5.2s are a 10 also.
Yeah, but geez, I forgot my thought. You know, I was like, yeah, I was gonna say, you have to be even more careful nowadays because the thing is, for you guys on the job, again, you're a walking lotto ticket, right? And as the economy gets worse, and as society kind of, you know, society's kind of in a bad place right now in terms of like, you know, the cost of things and the desperation of people, and it's not going to get better, right? I don't I've mentioned numerous times the difficulties of where America is because again, we don't make stuff. Everything that's made comes from basically from China, right? That puts us at an economic disadvantage, and I'm saying that the next coming years are going to be very difficult in terms of costs. So as things become more difficult, a lot of desperate people, including a lot of desperate women, will look for ways out of their situation in life. And unfortunately, you as a cop are a walking lotto ticket. So that's even more reason for you to be, you know, careful.
Well, he did it. He did them all.
Yeah.
He did them all.
Oh shit! I just saw I clicked it by. Mike Marino says, "Sounds like Dr. Ruth is directing your show today." Yeah, sure does. I think. Yeah. If we're giving sex therapy, this is epic failure.
Yeah, we give all kinds of advice on here,
Yeah.
Keith. Yeah, these young guys. See, this is why you need experience in the precinct. Yeah,
You sure do.
If we were in the precinct, we'd be able to tell these young guys now. And unfortunately, we're not. So.
You know what experience is? Experience is passing on stories of failure. That's what it is. You tell your stories of failure, and that's how everybody learns. That's really what it is. That's what experience is. If you really think about it, it's like, how many times have you failed in life that you can pass the torch to the young kid, like, listen, dude, here's what I did. It didn't work out too good. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, but that's great advice, Marlon. Like you really are a walking lottery ticket, right? Like that old Eminem line, like you could smell the lawsuit as soon as I waltz in the room. Like that's you when you're an NYPD cop, 100%. And that's for everybody. That's for dudes. That's for girls. Like there's guys that want to get in a fight with you because they know, you know what? They know if you punch the guy in the face, he got you on camera. You're a lawsuit. You're front cover of the paper. It's an easy win. It's this super easy win for them, you know. And the same's true with girls. And like, what do you think? Like. Most guys, like if you didn't get girls before you came on the job, right? Like if that didn't happen to you and now you're standing on a foot post and all these girls are coming over you. Why do you think they're coming over you? It's not because you're good looking. It's not because they like the uniform. It's not because you got better looking in the uniform. No. What do they know? You got a secure job. You got health benefits. You make a little bit of money. You probably got your own place. So you're a responsible person. You're looked at differently in society now. You know, I mean, me, like I said, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. And then like the NYPD gave me really a pathway right into the upper middle class. And, you know, everywhere you are now you're in these low income neighborhoods. You got a lot of money in those neighborhoods, dude. You 100% are a walking lotto ticket. Somebody marries you, they're going to have a good life. You're not going to have a good life because you chose to be an NYPD cop. But anybody, anybody you marry, especially if they're not looking to have you home, like they got a good life, because you ain't going to be home, So if they like
somebody else would be there for you.
So like I think that's super. That's 100% true. Anything else on dating or online dating or go to CD hotel rooms? Before we move on.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you go to a hotel one of these days and there's still a hotel clerk that's in the back and he's not actually at the desk when you get there, that's probably a seedy place. That's probably not a place you want to go to. And if they have those chairs, those sex chairs, that's probably not a place you want to go to.
Yeah.
And if you do, at least bring some Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
KB said. KB says he was in a bar in Midtown and he once met a group of girls. We told them we were teachers. They also said they were teachers. And then I saw the cuff key on her keychain. That must have been a fun Tuesday night, Yeah.
That's when you lean over. You lean over and they're like, "Hey, by the way, what's your tax number?"
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Sorry, Ball. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say we should name this new segment "Life Advice" from the Finest Unfiltered. A new segment every Friday. We give dating tips and life advice for young guys.
Experience your failures with us.
And then you know what the other thing I always avoided too? Crazy eyes. The girls with the crazy eyes. You guys that know about the crazy eyes? Like I would tell people, "Yo, she got crazy eyes, bro. I'm not messing with that." Or I would tell them, "Dude, don't mess with her. She got those crazy eyes. Like don't mess with girls with crazy eyes."
Well, but I think I said this story before on a prior podcast, but it's true. One of my lieutenants, my SOL in PSA 4, I never forget. He told me, "Don't trust a girl that's walking two dogs." So if a girl was walking two dogs, like, all right, I'm good. I don't know why, but that's what he said.
Hysterical. So all right, so recently a DOI report came out. And they're talking about how the NYPD violates sanctuary city law. So I don't think it's something we need to get into like too crazy, but I think it's important for NYPD cops to understand, right? So that report, if you read it, those cops didn't do anything wrong, especially the detective that got transferred. The detective was part of a federal task force. I actually tweeted about it like minutes before Ditterol Islam was murdered. So that this happened a while ago, right? Like, so it never really got any traction, never went anywhere. But so this detective, he's part of a federal task force. He's like the admin guy in the federal task force, right? So everybody gives him like stuff to run. The feds call him like, "Yo, could you run this?" So now, in order for us to utilize our systems, you need a criminal case number. Right? Like the feds got to give you a criminal case number, and then because they don't have access to our system, and you're like, okay, as per criminal case number, whatever, boop. And now I don't know that they're keeping track of this, but that's what's supposed to happen. I'm sure there's like some type of log they use, right? The NYPD loves those stupid books. They love spending money on logs, so there's probably a log somewhere, right? And then so I don't know if it's documented in a 5 version now. I don't know how they do it. I'm not too familiar with how that unit operates, but. So the feds ask for a log number. They give you a criminal case number. What the DOI report is saying that the detective did that was so horrible, and the fact that he's transferred falls solely on Jessica Tisch. She's a loser for this. I'm sorry. Like, this is so wrong. Like, so he gets a criminal case number and he runs it, right? No issue, right? Do you see a problem with that? I don't see a problem with that. He gets a criminal case number from the feds. He puts the name in the system. What the DOI report's saying, and what all these loser politicians are saying, like Julia Salazar and all these people that are saying that this cop should be fired, he broke the law. They're saying, well, the problem is the criminal case number was related to U.S. Code 18, which is federal immigration law, which, Jessica, is a crime. It's a crime. U.S. Code 18 is a criminal code. So when you violate that, you get arrested because it's criminal. You, depending on the aspects of that criminal code, you could be charged with a misdemeanor, you could be charged with a felony, or you could be charged with a violation. But you will be charged because it is a crime. And they're saying that, well, he shouldn't know. Well, that criminal case number is not good because it could be any other criminal case number except for U.S. Code 18. I mean, ridiculous. Dude should have never been transferred. So going forward, you guys got to be real careful with what's happening, because I got to tell you something. Jessica Tisch is a big lib. Rebecca Weiner is a big lib. All these people are big libs, and they're not going to stand up for you when it comes to anything with sanctuary city law. So, I mean, cover your tracks if you're doing anything with the feds. And I still don't understand why you can't give them or run anything based upon U.S. Code 18. But if you're giving them if you're giving the feds or anybody else any type of information or running anything, make sure it's not related to that, because the job's going to hang you. The unions are going to pretend they don't know you because they're going to say needs a department, right? Because they're a bunch of losers and they don't even know police work. They haven't done it in 30 years probably. So I don't know, man. I just think that that's crazy. That DOI report showed that the NYPD did absolutely nothing wrong. And just for the record, ICE is investigating crimes. U.S. Code 18. If you violate that, you are a criminal.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. You know, that first of all, this sanctuary city law is bullshit. Okay, and that's something that you know needs to end. Okay, if you had an honest government, including federal government, there would be an onslaught against the sanctuary city laws, but we don't. And the whole reason those exist is to keep, every couple of years, the way America works, because again, we hollowed out our manufacturing is to constantly import a new base of cheap labor from third world countries. So every couple of years, you notice the demographics of New York City changes. You ever notice how those bodegas in New York City used to be different like 20 years ago. They were run by different people 20 years ago. But every couple of generations, those people who run it become differently. And it's because they keep importing cheap labor. And you have now, unfortunately, it's pretty obvious that the people that run the city are all elitist and wealthy people. And so now you see we're going to an even extreme position where just merely now you have to watch out for everything you do in the NYPD, that it might be somehow connected to a violation of sanctuary city laws, which is stupid in itself, because that should not be a law. But I mean, I expect no different from Tish. Again, she's a billionaire, and if cops start actually not having to walk on eggshells and do things that may be connected to ICE, then Consuela isn't gonna be there to clean Tish's $1 million apartments in Manhattan, or Jesus isn't gonna be there to mow her lawn for $2 an hour. So this thing is driven by elites, and now the elites are clearly running the city, and it's going to become even harder for cops. Cops are going to have to walk on eggshells even more, because anything you do, especially if you're in a task force, anything you do might be connected to ICE, and therefore you violated department policy. This is stupid, and it gets me angry thinking about it.
So shout out to Beauty in the Struggle too. I got to push back on this. I don't know if you've been sleeping at the wheel. So he or she says, you guys all loved Jessica Tisch a month ago. What happened? Apparently you haven't been paying attention, because we are pretty critical of Jessica Tisch. And the only time I can actually recall that we praised her, including myself, was when she eulogized the murder of officer posthumously promoted to Detective Islam. That's the only time that we gave her praise, because she eulogized him with compassion and care, and much in comparison to the other politicians that utilized the podium as a political standpoint. So I got to push back on that. I think you fell asleep at the wheel. I mean, I thought you'd Finest Unfiltered, a friend of the Finest Unfiltered. I don't know what happened there. But either way, it's interesting when we look at the NYPD, how some laws we follow and some we don't. So it's so arbitrary. I was on the phone with a cop who I'll keep unnamed yesterday. And of course, we're talking about what's my favorite topic, CCRB. And I said, how do you feel about this proposal right now where CCRB could ultimately have the final say? Do you think it makes such a difference? We had this conversation. And he said, I'm not worried about it, because Gerber testified that it violates the law. I said, so since when does since when does NYPD, follow the law? It's interesting that we're in opposition with ICE, who's another law enforcement agency. Right? Some laws we follow, some we don't. And it's quite interesting, right? Think about it. The NYPD is in opposition with ICE right now because of sanctuary city laws and not working with their federal partners because they're all law enforcement agencies. But yet we have cops that get terminated for supposedly ingesting marijuana, which is legal in New York City, but not on the federal level. So which one is it? Do we follow federal law or we don't? You can't have it both ways. So it's interesting how they pick and choose. Again, it's like another tiered system when it comes to when we follow the law. The bottom line is ICE and the NYPD are both law enforcement agencies, and they're supposed to enforce, maintain, and restore order and maintain and investigate crimes. And that's exactly what they're doing. Sanctuary City itself is violating federal law. So this whole thing is just complete horseshit.
Yeah, no, it's so look, I'll be honest, I was kind of a fan of Jessica Tisch prior to her appointment. I thought that she could do good. I thought that she was a billionaire, and I thought she could push back on Eric Adams, and she clearly didn't. But she did do a great job in the media. She did a great job of cleaning up how the story, how the stories are told about what's happening as it relates to crime, what's happening in the NYPD. And I think Marlon's memes of Jessica Tisch's newspaper just nail it. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are following him at Fire Detective on X or on Instagram, even though he doesn't go on Instagram much, but he should. He's always on X, so follow him over there. And he got a bunch of memes, and it's basically like he's replicating the New York Post, telling the story the real way, what they're really saying. So I think it's accurate. But like now, like as it's happening, as everything's evolving, I think she's doing a terrible job. I honestly do. I think she sucks. I think, when you look at a lot of the policies and a lot of things that are happening, she's not standing up for you. She's not doing anything for you. She's not helping the rank and file cop. She's building herself. She's doing the same thing that Kaz Daughtry's doing. She's just a little smarter at it. She's a lot more polished than it. She's no different than the rest of them. It's a lot more professional, cleaned up lens with her doing it than if you have Kaz making videos and wearing all the stitched embroidery. Like, she's doing it differently. She's doing it more professionally, but it's hollow. Everything she's saying is hollow. It's all empty. She's patting herself on the back. Historic crime drops when, we show you the numbers. Like, there's nothing there. Like, crime's not down. There's nothing there. Like, she just has the media painting this for you. And, I've been saying for a while, I've been saying it for a long time. I always say, like, all my heroes are dead. All my heroes are dead because they can't disappoint me. They can't live long enough to disappoint me. Like, that's what it is. They're already dead. So the people that I admire, they're dead. Like, because they can't live long enough. There's not going to be the next thing to happen where they're going to ultimately disappoint me. Because I think everyone that, like, I kind of respect, or anyone that I had admired, I think 2020 like took that facade away from me with like admiring other people, because just Jordan Peterson, for example, love the dude, love his books, love his lectures on the Bible, love the way he thinks and analyzes things. And, I think like a lot of the way I think is because of the books I read that he did, Maps of Meaning, 12 Rules for Life, another 12 Rules for Life. But in COVID, he said, just shut up and take the shot. And I was like, wait a minute. How does that correlate with all the stuff that you were saying? How does that correlate with not allowing transgression, not let the lie come into the world, let it even prosper, but not through me? Like, how does all that stuff that you talk about and you say you believe, and moral integrity and all this other stuff, why is it okay to just throw that in the garbage now at the height of a pandemic? And when we could just use this on anything else. And so, like, for me, I had high hopes for Jessica Tisch, and they're gone. Because again, that NYPD detective, he should be right in his unit doing exactly what he was doing. If it was an issue, it was an issue that should have been squashed. Like, hey, look, you didn't do anything wrong, but it's a problem. Don't do this again. That's it. End the story. And Rebecca Weiner should have been there for it. And anyone else involved in this federal task force. Joe Kenny, FYI, Kenny, they're coming for your job, in case you didn't read that City article where Kaz was throwing you under the bus. An unnamed executive in the NYPD was throwing you on the bus. So the hit job's in for you, big guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I never, since the beginning I called her like a wealthy elitist. Yeah. So to me, what she's doing, none of this surprises me. I what always got me is that she's like a lifelong administrator. Now, I had hoped that maybe she was smart enough to maybe she was smart enough to still do a good job, even though she's a billionaire. But I haven't seen it so far, and I don't think you'll ever get anyone who's a billionaire who as an administrator. And being an administrator, they're not, it's not like being an elected official where, people have people don't like what you're doing. We're just not going to vote for you, I think as a lifelong administrator who does this as a hobby, really, because she doesn't really get paid, right? I don't think, how much of a good job can you really do, if I also have mentioned in the past that she sold her apartment in the Upper East Side. I think it was like 80th and 5th Avenue, but she had a duplex up there that she sold back in August, right? Now, if you're the PC and you're so confident about the city, why would you sell your apartment? Because think of it, if you're really doing a good job, right? Wouldn't that apartment just, wouldn't that value go up even more? So I don't think somebody who is as detached to the blue collar lifestyle of most people in the city can really do a good job. I mean, is she gonna be walking Brooklyn? Is she gonna be, she gonna be in the hood, walking around, talking to people? No, don't. Her lifestyle is completely different from you. She lives in a neighborhood that's completely different from yours, okay? And far away from the like real life. So what she's doing, I expected,
Reed, what's up, brother? I love the comment. And, I've been hearing this quite often, but I spoke to a cop yesterday who told me pretty much the same thing. And now Reed says it here. Brass is all scared of Tish. Heard she yells and screams at executive meetings with her staff. They just say yes to her to keep her quiet so they don't feel her wrath. And I heard that also. I spoke to a cop yesterday. Of course, I'll leave him unnamed. And he said there's a lot of grumblings and a lot of scuttlebutt that at some various executive meetings, especially some recently, about some questionable shootings or questionable incidents and controversial incidents involving cops, where she just I was told allegedly she just berated some of the chiefs, and just when they try to offer some input or talk, she basically put her finger in front of their face and shushed them. Now, I don't know how true that is, but several people have said it to me. So at some point, maybe there is some truth to it. Either way, that goes to what we can kind of assume someone would be like that is a billionaire heiress that lived a life where everything is kind of handed by the silver spoon. So, Marlon, to what you're saying, I agree with you. I think to be an effective police commissioner or even effective leadership, especially in the New York City Police Department, in a blue-collar law enforcement profession, I think you need to be hungry. And I think that part of being hungry is that you need the money and you need that job, right? So she doesn't need the money and she doesn't need the job. It's just another platform to propel her in politics or to give her family a face and give her family a seat at the table or various tables, right? We talked about different boards that she's on, because not only do they have the money and the power, but it gives them a voice and it gives them an actual tangible hand in different things. So she doesn't need this job. She doesn't yearn for it. She's not hungry. She doesn't have to worry about her next meal or her next paycheck. She doesn't need it in the same facet where we needed it, where we need the job, we need the career, we need the money, we need the stability. She doesn't need that. So how effective can she be? The only way I believe she could be extremely effective with the lack of police experience that she has, which is zero, only an administrative factor, is to have such strong, effective leadership that actually not only manages the people below them, but manages her also. And we know that LePetri, who's a complete jellyfish, and the other leaders of the NYPD at the upper echelon are not managing her. She's managing them. And there's an art. I used to say there's an art to leadership, and managing the people below you, but also managing the people above you. But she would also have to allow them to manage her, to guide her in decision making. But she doesn't need them. She's got Bratton and Ray Kelly in a corner who's giving her advice and guiding her. So, and to me, that is completely ineffective because Ray Kelly was the commissioner at a complete different time where things were completely different. Bratton, we already know his second story turned out to be a complete disaster. So I'm not confident in her ability at this point. I'm not confident in this administration. If anything, it arguably is actually worse than it was before. I see extreme amount of discipline. I see morale is just completely through the toilet. It's probably the worst it's ever been. They lack the confidence in their leadership. They also lack the confidence in Jessica Tisch. And to me, she also put out a clear message on the fact that she thinks the sacrifices of cops are negotiable. How? She allowed the Win Rozario case to go to administrative trial, or well, it will be going to administrative trial that already passed all various forms of oversight, including a DA review. And the two police officers that had to use their firearms in close proximity in a kitchen of a sharp-edged weapon, which was a scissor, are now going to be on trial for their jobs. Absolutely insane that she's allowed. So to me, she sent a message that she doesn't care about the bravery and the sacrifices that her cops go through on a daily basis and the position they have to put themselves in, because she's never had to face a position of danger. She's never had to make a decision whether she's going to have courage and bravery or she's going to put her tail between her legs and run. She never had that experience. Marlon, you talk about she never even had to experience being in the hood. That's, to me, that's for her, that's like a UFO. That's like an alien. She has no idea. John said a long time ago, and he's right. I don't even think she knows what it is just to go to the store and get milk. Everything probably just comes served to her. Even in her area, she's an elite amongst the elitists. So there's just no comparison.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, like I laugh, like, because everyone's like, oh, you know, she wasn't a cop. She wasn't a cop. I'm like, I've worked with cops that also had no idea about police work and also had no idea what actually cops do. Like, they had this privileged career, whatever. Their father was whatever, or they knew the right people, or they just were like extremely, like, I don't know. They just extremely like fell into these things. So I've worked with people on the job that were cops that I'm like, this guy has no idea what it's like to be a cop. He doesn't work for the New York City Police Department. He has a totally different path. So now, you know, you have people on the job that are like that. They could do 20, 30 years on the job. They never did what you did. They don't have the same experience. They think the job's great. I got to take off. I take off. You know, got to go away. I go away. You know, they go away when they want. They do what they want. They make overtime when they want. They don't do details. You know, so like there are people that have privileged lives on the job. Now her, she's not only was never on the job, she's like, she was an analyst for like a couple of whatever she was an analyst for, not a long time. And now she's a deputy commissioner. So she has no idea about the job. And then when you look at that, like, is she blue collar? Do you understand the inner workings of the job? No, you don't. Being the deputy commissioner of ITB does not give you a full breadth of what it is to be a New York City police officer. Sorry, I don't care if you do that job for 40 years. You're not understanding all that stuff that happens. And she didn't do that job that long. So let's clear the air there. And then when you talk about being like understanding the plight of the blue collar worker or the man, no, absolutely not. She doesn't understand that at all. She doesn't have to live it. She never lived it. So I mean, look, come on, let's keep it real. Why is she the police commissioner? It's a patronage job because her father donates to big politicians. Her family donates to big politicians. She's influential. She would never be the police commissioner if she didn't have money. She would never be the commissioner of sanitation if she didn't have money. Like, let's stop pretending. Like, and that's the thing. Like, that's what everyone wants to pretend around. I never pretended that. I was like, so like, that was one thing I was always clear on, but I thought that could give her some ability to maneuver Eric Adams correctly and clean that up. And she hasn't looked too smart at maneuvering him either. She hasn't led from behind. The city should look a lot different. The New York City Police Department should look a lot different. And it absolutely doesn't. And the things that are coming on shows me that she's a lib and she really doesn't give a shit about the police. You know, and this is one of them. You know, Attorney General Tish James, we told you months ago that this investigation has been done for months, that the investigators in Tish James's office deemed this incident, the Win Rozario incident, a suicide by cop. We showed you the video. It clearly was a suicide by cop. They were saying over and over again, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife, and he charged them. They shot him with the taser. He picked up the knife and he charged them again. He left them absolutely no other option other than to deploy their firearms. They tried to tase him. They tried to de-escalate. They tried to talk him down. They tried to taser him. All of those incidents didn't work, and he ultimately charged them with a knife. And it was a cop by suicide, because what hasn't came out in the media, what CCRB isn't saying, what no one's telling you, is he called on himself. He pretended to be someone else, and he called on himself. It was always a suicide by cop. That's why FID didn't prosecute him. That's why DA Melinda Katz didn't prosecute these cops. That's why ultimately Tish James, as of yesterday, finally released this investigation that's been done for months and said she will not prosecute the cops. But now they still have to sit there and sweat about what CCRB is going to do. Because you heard John Darsh testify about this, that he believes that these cops are not being held accountable, even though we've had all of these investigations done against these officers, and they've been cleared in every one of them, including the CCRB investigators' determination cleared these cops of any wrongdoing. The only people that believe that these cops did anything wrong are the CCRB board. That is the only people that believe that. And Jessica Tish, again, we're saying, oh, she's going to have final authority if you take that away from her. What are you doing, Jessica? This shouldn't even be a department trial. And if it is, it should be a damn short one day, and these cops should get cleared. Like, what are you doing? You want to sit here and play public safety? Same for you, Mondani. You want to play public safety? So let's talk public safety. What do you want cops to do when a violent, emotionally disturbed person charges them with a knife? And they already deployed the taser and it failed, and they already tried to de-escalate and it failed. What do you want them to do? Would you rather a funeral, or are they allowed to defend themselves?
Yeah, I think this goes back to, it's not so much about being able to necessarily needing to be commissioner because you need a job or anything. It goes back to more so being able to relate to the people. Now, you see, in this case, if you're from, let's say you're from blue collar existence, right? You grew up, you didn't grow up privileged. Then, I think you'd have a greater understanding of that situation than somebody like her, because, you grew up a billionaire. Your family has always had the ability to find care for any family member who suffers from psychological issues. They would have never had to be in a situation where this family member is like kind of out of control, and it just goes back to being able to relate to the common people on the ground. And I'm going to disagree with Jack Stern, producer of the Finest, and he says on the chat, he says blue collar is more of an empty phrase than socialism when union heads are living in mansions in Massapequa. They're not blue collar at all. Now, I'm going to say, the thing is, these guys were union bosses for a while, or high-ranking union members for a while. And a lot of them have a lot of time on the job. If you've been halfway decent with managing your money for that time on the job, then you too could have had a big house in Massapequa, to be fair. That doesn't necessarily not mean they're blue collar. They're not blue collar, Jack, because blue collar means, you weren't born with a spoon in your mouth, and it's different from having come from a middle class lifestyle, and then you're saved up, you invested properly, you manage your money properly. Now you got a big home in Massapequa, than it is to have been born a billionaire from the get-go, and you've never known life not living in a massive home, which is Tish, okay, Jessica Tish. So there is a clear difference, and to her credit, Tish James understands this a lot better than Tish does, because at least Tish James, with her corrupt self, she comes from a poorer background. Okay, so got to give her you got to give her credit for not dragging that on further.
On Wednesday, we spoke about morale and how morale is such an important element for the NYPD or any law enforcement profession or any organization, and why morale is so in the tank. And one thing that's important for morale is something that we said, is that the people in an organization, particularly rank and file of the NYPD, have to have confidence in their leadership to have and to build morale. So clearly there's no confidence in the leadership. And I know, John, you said even administrative trial for one day. And my message is this. This CCRB should never make an administrative trial. Jessica Tisch, the only option in this case is to dismiss this CCRB case. Just dismiss it. And that would be where she would take a stand, and that would build morale by supporting the cops, by saying your sacrifices are not negotiable. The bravery that you have to utilize on a daily basis, because make no mistake about it, those two police officers were put in a very vulnerable predicament. It is in close proximity where the adversary, Win Rozario, brandished an edged weapon, and that was a pair of scissors, putting police officers into position to pull the trigger. And ultimately, what DOI needs to do is not investigate the NYPD. Well, they should investigate John Shell and other leadership of the NYPD, but they need to investigate the CCRB and finally investigate them for bias and investigate them for having a disdain for policing. Because the investigations that are done by CCRB are done with bias and disdain, and they're theoretical, and they're not based on operation. In theory, it sounds great that two police officers are in close proximity in a kitchen who's someone who brandishes a scissor. And I don't know if the CCRB thinks that they would be capable of somehow ripping that scissor out of the adversary's hand and taking them down to the ground in this beautiful world. Hey, in theory, that sounds great. But in operational reality, those police officers were put in a position where they had to utilize their firearms. And their theory also is that tasers are this magic wand. And we already proved in various reports, including an AM article online, that shows that 49% of the time, the tasers are ineffective, which is pretty much a flip of the coin. So police officers are put in position, unfortunately, sometimes they have to shoot people to save themselves and to save others. So CCRB is completely based on theory. So there needs to be a DOI investigation. And Jonathan Darsh, you asked me, he is a man of treason because he betrays the NYPD and he betrays the people. By him intercepting with this bullshit CCRB case, it tears down the fabric of policing in the NYPD. It tears down the cops from actually doing intrusive police work. It causes them to hesitate, and hesitation by the NYPD puts the cops at risk, but it also puts the citizens that he supposedly supports when they make claims, because it puts them in a vulnerable position. Because I would like to know, what would Jonathan Darsh do? Right? One day he's 500 pounds and one day he's 100 pounds. But what would he do in that situation? What would he do in a situation, close proximity in a kitchen where someone brandishes a knife or a pair of scissors or any edge weapon that could cut you? What would you do, Jonathan Darsh? I want to know, what would you do? Because you sure put a lot of emphasis and you put a lot of stake in the fact that police officers are supposed to take another form of action. What are those actions? What are the solutions? Because you never provide solutions. So, and this is coming from someone that couldn't walk one day in the boots of a police officer, and yet he has the power and authority to make this assessment. So that's where Jessica Tisch, especially as a billionaire that doesn't need this job, that's where she could have taken a stand and said, hell no, is this going to meet an administrative trial? These two police officers have passed every layer of oversight, included by the Attorney General. This CCRB case is trash. How does the highest office in New York State, the AG's office, clear these cops, but then the low-level CCRB with a bunch of civilians that have no idea about police work, and most of them are not even from New York City, are going to have the authority to determine if those two police officers should still be wearing a uniform? If that doesn't sound like bullshit, it's complete nonsense. We need to get rid of Jonathan Darsh and get rid of all those investigators that are there right now, clean house and start over, and have people that actually do investigations based on neutrality and based on operation and actually based on law and actually based on the NYPD patrol guide and not based on emotion. And every time we hear, and John and I personally have been at these virtual monthly meetings where we've heard Jonathan Darsh just speak from a place of emotion when police officers use their firearm in several situations where they had to take the life of another only to preserve the life of themselves and preserves the life of other people. And Jonathan Darsh has never provided any solutions. He just gets emotionally invested because he just doesn't like cops. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So Eddie West sends a super chat, but it's related to this. He says that I foresee a fat lawsuit by the two cops if the CCRB case recommends termination, and Tish agrees. Both cops were cleared by multiple oversight agencies and the CCRB investigators themselves. I'd sue every one of their asses. So, again, I'm going to just be real frank here. I think that the unions have done a horrendous job with this. I think, honestly, at this point, like, you know, Eric was saying, oh, we should start a union. We should start a union. And I'm like, I don't think it's there. I think at some point we're going to look to do that because they're honestly horrific. They're absolutely terrible. Like the representation they gave here. And I don't care if the lawyer was good with the cops or the cops feel like, oh, yeah, the lawyers did good. I'm sitting here from the outside and I'm watching it. I think they did a horrific job. They did a horrific job. So one, I think that it doesn't matter if Tish agrees with them or not and recommends termination and Tish goes along with it. I think already there's a huge lawsuit here. You know, I think the unions have done this much to cover their asses only to that you can't sue them for lack of representation. That's how much I think the unions have done. Just enough so that like there's, you know, they have a case in case the cops turn around and sue them. I think everybody should be sued in this scenario. And unfortunately, again, if that lawsuit comes out, it's not going to be from the union. It's not going to be from the PBA. It's going to be from a Scola. It's going to be from an Eric Sanders. It's going to be from a Serena Townsend. They're going to have to go out on their own to get that lawsuit. And again, it's just another failure on the unions. Listen, if Tish agrees, because obviously the CCRB's already recommended termination. If Tish agrees with that, forget, what did I say? That like, we're going to continue on this slide. Change I'll change my thing right now. Instead of this slide of NYPD numbers, it's going to be more like this. It's going to be a straight drop down because everyone's going to realize at that point, soon as I hit my 20, I'm out. Soon as I get to my 10, I'm out. Soon as I get to whatever number, I'm out. Nobody's going to do. Like, you know, you're going to have a job. 99.9% of people are going to have quit, but they just hadn't told anyone. They're showing up to work in uniform and they ain't going to do a damn thing. And it'll be a direct result of her. So it's a disgrace that this is continuing to happen. And you know, the unions are complicit in all of it. So I just want to put that out there. There is no reason that that entire CCRB board isn't being sued, that the unions aren't kicking and screaming every day about what's going on. And like, look, what has it done to these cops? Like, what has it done to their mental health? What has it done to their family? What has it done for all the cops that understand what happened in that scenario? I mean, we showed you the video numerous times on here. They did nothing wrong. Yet the CCRB and all these politicians and everyone's claiming like these cops went there to kill Win Rozario that day. When we have footage of them 3 seconds before they're entering and they're like, hey, what's going on, man? How's everything going? What could we do to help? They're there to help. They responded to a 911 call. They got charged with a knife. They did everything correctly. They followed their training, and here they go. And their lives are still, years later, they're still sitting there going, am I going to keep my job? I got cleared in every criminal investigation. I got cleared in all the administrative investigations. But yet, John Darsh and the CCRB board want to hang me. And now I still don't know if I'm going to get terminated. There should be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. It should have came out from you, Pat Henry. Should have came out from you, bro. Shouldn't be coming out from anybody else. You should be talking about this case every day, and you're not, and it's a disgrace. And that's why I say none of you have any balls. You pretend like you got balls. You walk around and you say shit when you have to, but that's it. And that goes for you, Scott, and that goes for you, Lou, and that goes for you, Chris. No balls whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm going to say the city doesn't care about the lawsuits that would come from it, you know? They don't care because they're already facing tons of lawsuits, and you know, like, there's no changes being made anyway. And you know, so they don't care about the lawsuits as long as the current agenda is pushed, and the current agenda is clearly to push out more cops and to get in cheaper cops and to replace the rest of them with AI and cheaper, dumber cops that need to rely on AI and need to rely on a supervisor to tell them what to do and make decisions. So the agenda goes on, and I don't have any hopes that Tish is going to do the right thing here. I think clearly they don't want cops to be, they don't want you to take action. And they want to appease the progressives, and unfortunately getting rid of these two cops kind of, does it does the job for them. And as we see that bigger push coming for AI coming from the federal government and from Trump's administration, I can't help but think that how much this is going to go into overdrive with them pushing out more like cops with time on. I'm going to also say that the unions themselves are also terrified of Tish, and they're terrified of actually being unions and doing their job, because they know themselves that they're corrupt, okay, in terms of what they're doing with union funds. And if they were to actually be a union, then they would end up like Mullins, okay. So unfortunately, I'm not going to hold my breath thinking that these cops are going to be fine. I think in the long run, though, they'll be fine with the lawsuits, but they have a real fight ahead of them, because clearly the agenda doesn't want them to be on this job anymore.
So, John, you're absolutely right. I did say that. I still say that. When John and I started podcasting together over 3 years now, I said in the beginning that, you know what, the unions don't actually fight for the rank and file, that we could actually form an independent union. And it's not about having a revolution, but it's actually being a voice and actually being a weapon and power for the rank and file to actually fight for them. So we are getting close. We will be there at 100,000 subscribers. So we're building our own community right now. We're growing. And I do believe that we can do that at some point. I do believe we can create our own independent union where we can actually support the cops. Not only that, John and I have been present in more than probably 10 to 15 CCRB monthly meetings where we actually testified virtually in opposition to CCRB and made some great claims. And I do believe that John and I actually helped in that stake and actually slowed down the momentum that CCRB was getting. Now, did we put a stop to it? No, but I do believe that we definitely slowed down some of their momentum, especially because I speak to cops on a constant basis. And some of the cops I spoke to, there's no doubt about it that the testimony by myself and John and the evidence we present in showing that the racial bias policing investigations done by the CCRB are done just completely flawed investigations in their scientific, their 6 scientific step basis to determine if someone is racial just completely falls flat at its feet. And I do believe that's because of the testimonies by myself and John. We wrote articles about the SRG. We wrote articles about the NYPD itself. And I do believe that's helped. And I do believe that we're growing and we can create some type of independent union to actually help the cops, because it's unfortunate when you're a police officer and you're faced with a CCRB, and it's more substantial now than ever. The conversation you have with the attorney is maybe 2 to 3 minutes at tops, where you need a real consultant. You need an hour speaking to that attorney about your case and really dissect it to protect you and actually fight for you. And unfortunately, if you're a rank and file right now facing a CCRB, there's no support. And you have to do your own investigation, your own research, how to combat that as best as possible. So we are a community, we are growing, and we are a voice. And again, I want to say this is not about being a revolution, but it is about actually helping. And also, there is a benefit to having retired law enforcement where no one has any leverage on us. We have the ability to speak, and that's why this is unfiltered. No, we don't owe anyone any favors. No one has any leverage on us. So we're actually able to fight for the rank and file. And the reason why the unions can't really fight for you, in my opinion, is because they owe favors. They owe favors to the upper echelon for getting taken care of. And that's why when you owe people favors, you're in their pocket and you can't really express yourself. And that's why you have to say to yourself, wow, these guys like myself and Marlon and John and Sal and the entire network, Rob and Ron and Jack also, we've been able to be unfiltered because we don't owe anyone any favors. So keep that in mind. If you're a cop out there right now, and if people can have leverage by doing some favors for you and you owe them, sometimes that debt is never paid. and if you have to owe them and it actually cuts your tongue, it's probably not a favor you want to take.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so someone asked on here, PBA or FOP, Fraternal Order Police. Let's clear something up right now. Fuck the Fraternal Order Police. Fuck Joe Gamaldi. Fuck all those guys. All they literally do, all that kid does, all he does is every time a cop gets killed, this guy got killed and we can't have this anymore. He doesn't advocate the politicians. I must have fucking missed you, Joe, when Marlon got fired. I must have missed you, Joe, when I got forced out of my career. I must have missed all your fucking tweets then, right? So fuck the FOP too. Don't give any of those cocksuckers your money. Fuck them. Like, you know, they're absolute losers. I don't even know. Where is that guy? Where is he on CCRB? Does he even know anything? No, but he wants to weigh in about Mondani. Like, get out. Get that little. He ran away from the New York City Police Department because he couldn't handle being a cop. So that's what I think about the FOP. Fuck the FOP. Fuck Pat Hendry and the PBA too. That's what I think. Congratulations. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, but I can't stand the FOP. And when
say what you really feel.
When I see those tweets, I want to throw up, dude. I honestly do. Like, you're a phony. You don't give a shit that cop died. You know what that is for you? That's political fodder when that cop got killed. That's what that is. That's something for you to fucking tweet about so it looks like you're doing something when you're not doing a damn thing. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And that's what the unions do too. They tweet when they have to. They fight when they have to. They don't care. And you're 100% right, Eric. It's because it's they can't do anything. They can't fight because everything's favor. And someone's like, oh, Ed Mullins fight, and they hung him. Yeah. Well, guess what? What Ed Mullins was doing was fucked up. So maybe he shouldn't have been doing shit. And then he could have fought, and he wouldn't have the shit wouldn't have happened to him. What happened to him? And by the way, all the people he was doing it with, they're still fucking there running the union. So I mean, come on, it's disgraceful, dude. It's absolutely disgraceful. Even Ed Mullins, I like Ed Mullins, dude. I do. I thought he did a good job as a union president until I found out what he was doing. So fuck Ed Mullins too.
Yeah, I liked Ed Mullins, and I thought he was the last good union boss, even with the things he was doing, because I think they're all doing that behind the scenes. The only difference is Ed Mullins spoke up, and they're not. And I think Ed Mullins was going to put up a fight, and they needed to get him off the board. So they did what they did. And whereas the other union guys who are doing the same thing are keeping quiet like they have been all along. And I'm going to say that I saw a comment in there about from HFL about her being about Tish being the PC being something for a resume. I'm going to say she doesn't need the resume. She being PC allows her to further the interests of her family and the people and the elites in her family circle and who are business partners and associates. It allows her to further it by being a lifelong administrator who's unaccountable to the public, and while at the same time her family controls the police foundation, and they have been changing the dynamic of actual policing in the city from being one of just meat and potatoes policing to one that's clearly now heavily dependent on technology, and is getting even more so dependent on. Okay. And you look at all these things that she's introduced in tech and analytical tools on the job. And don't get me wrong, tools are great, but again, the problem is the NYPD has moved away from meat and potatoes policing, and now you have dumb cops who are going to be dependent on AI, and again, who need a boss to tell them. They need a boss to show up at every job, and for that boss to make a decision on every job. And that's something that's not the case. And when I was a rookie, bosses, they didn't want to show up to your job. You expected, what are you doing in like a sector car if you can't make a freaking decision and do things on your own, and you need a boss babysitting you? But times have changed now, and look at the job wants a boss to show up at every job, even the 311 calls. A lot of times you see these rookies just standing around. You go at domestics, even they standing around waiting for the boss to show up to make a decision. And this is a culture that's been brought on by technocrats and elitists and academics like Tish. So there's an agenda at play here, and people like Tish are the people who are bringing forth that agenda and changing what policing actually was
And let's be honest here, the writing's on the wall right now. If the unions don't wake up, they're going to be replaced entirely. And there's no doubt about it. I'm going to say this, not conceited, but with confidence. In 3 years, this network, the Finest Unfiltered, has done more for the rank and file than the unions have done in 2 decades. There's no doubt about it. Through testimonies at CCRB, through social media interaction, through actual podcasting, through conversations that Marlon, myself, and John, and Sal, and Rob, and Rod, that we have on a daily basis with cops and different rank and file, and even those in retirement, the network and the community that we've built a tribe. And there's no doubt about it. We're getting close to 100,000, and we could wipe these unions off the map entirely. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're not looking to create a revolution, but with collecting no union dues, I believe that we have done more for the rank and file than they've seen in 2 decades. That's without attorney representation. That's just by having the guts to stand up and say what's right and talk about moral principle, because I don't owe anyone anything. John does it. Marlon does it. Sal does it. We don't owe anyone anything. Now that there's Rob and Ron, we don't owe anyone any favors. We're happy with what we are. So we're actually fighting for the rank and file. And actually, we talk about legit proposals, legislation that has stripped away at the police department and given a fair, honest assessment and given a take on it that reflects the morale, reflects what's actually being said in the locker room, reflects the emotions of who's tangible right now. And those are the cops that are out in the street right now. And actually calling out the fake and inadequate and incompetent leadership of the NYPD. So, because that's not something the unions are doing. Why? Because they owe people favors. Why? Because they're in bed with the enemy. Why? Because lunches are good. Dinner's great. They have to keep this momentum. John and I say it quite often. Pull those appearances on the unions, and you'll see a lot of retirements coming soon. And you'll see a complete different momentum. They probably wouldn't even look like a union anymore or a benevolent association. So the real fight right now is what's making sense. Who's actually fighting for these cops? And unfortunately, they're on their own, and they're alone right now. There is no way that this Win Rozario case should ever have a conversation to make an administrative trial. Absolutely. The stress that these cops have already go to, just think about that. I just want to tell you, the stress that these cops have had to go through after the shooting is far worse than the shooting they were involved in itself. The stress of the situation that they had to take someone's life to preserve their own lives and to preserve the lives of those family members in that household, that's stressful. But the stress they've had to go through in the aftermath of oversight by all these layers, including CCRB, has been stress beyond anyone can handle. And yet they expect cops to maintain good mental health, good physical health, when they're treated like peasants and their sacrifices are negotiable. That's the message. The message to the cops is you are worth dirt and you just don't matter. And your life doesn't matter. And you're supposed to put yourself in a position that's impossible, and no one ever provides any solutions. They just say they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that, but no one provides solutions. And finally, on this network, are we actually giving solutions?
Yeah, Pat says, how come retirees don't have any say vote when it comes to New York City police unions? We absolutely should, and if it's dues that you need, then let's talk about it. Let's talk about dues for retirees, and that this way we get a vote and we get a say. And then let's talk about representation for retirees. So, because now that they're done selling out the unborn because they sold out so much, they sell us out. You know what I mean? So that's absolutely the case. And Mike was talking about the union dues are running low. Listen, they all have millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank, and they're not even presenting any cases. They have lawyers on payroll that they're not even utilizing. It's like another patronage job. You got these lawyers, you're paying them, but yet you're not utilizing them. If I'm a union president and you're a lawyer and you work for me, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun, but you're going to be working your ass off. You know what I mean? You're going to be where I'm going to make sure I get every cent out of you. And that's not happening at all. These are like patronage jobs for people. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the unions, I forget pulling their appearance, dude. Let's give them mobile field force once a week. They all retire. Once a week, you got to go to mobile field force. Oh, and by the way, nobody's taking care of you. You're getting the worst post. You're going to be on post. You're going to get the meal. You're not sitting in your car. Nobody's taking care of you. Oh, and if by the way, you show up 5 minutes late, I'm pulling your appearances. Now you're getting transferred back to command. And then if you do anything else again, I'm transferring you out of that command. Right? Like, so that's what I'll tell you right now. They're all leaving. They're all leaving. Every single one of them. They're all putting their papers in. I could change the union in 4 seconds. I'll go work for Mondani for a month. I'll have the whole union look differently in 1 month, and then I'll leave again. It's true. Like, does anyone think that the board in the union, if I said right now, there'd be a couple of guys that would suck it up and do it, because I'm not saying that all of them are zeros and do nothings. Like, some of them would do it, but you'll wipe out the entire, like, it'll be 95% gone. 95% are gone. They're not going to last 3 months with doing once a week mobile field force. They're just not. Especially now, it's cold outside. Get out there. No cars on post. You're 5 minutes late. You're off. Oh, you forgot your body camera? Oh, wait. Do you even have a body camera? You don't have a body camera? You transfer. Pulling your appearances. So look, what I got up on the screen right now, this is the resignations from yesterday. These aren't people that retired. These aren't people that vested. These are people that said, I'm out. Most of them from the academy. A couple of cops in there. That's just from yesterday. I mean, it's unsustainable what's happening. And then Sal had posted something this morning. So what did Sal say? Let me pull up Sal's tweet. Hold on.
About the body worn cameras, right?
Yeah. So he
I was
said,
getting that all day.
Yeah, so that this was coming out yesterday. I was like a little hesitant to put it out just because I didn't want the guys that like this came out from to face any consequences, but it's already out there and it's too late. And you know how things are in the NYPD. They tell one guy, next guy tells the other guy, and I'm sure that the story is not so accurate, but it sounds accurate, So this is what Sal writes. This is the admin order. This used to be in the patrol guide, but this is now in the administrative guide. This is when it relates to doing paid details. What paid detail is in the NYPD is it's authorized off-duty employment you do in uniform. It's not pensionable money. The money gets paid for by the corporations, and you essentially work for the corporation that employs you that day. So as per the administrative guide in the NYPD, members performing paid detail assignments are not required to wear body cameras. So this is what Sal writes. This is why morale is at an all-time low amongst the rank and file in the NYPD. Unlike what you hear and read coming from the mainstream legacy media, providing perception management, fawning over current NYPD police commissioner. In a recent incident, NYPD Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, also known as the soccer mom, allegedly walked up to an off-duty officer performing a paid detail. So one, I'm going to totally say right now, this is a big problem, and I don't agree that paid detail officers are off-duty. Yes, it's off-duty employment, but they are technically on duty. Whenever you are in uniform in the New York City, you are on duty. You're a cop. Anything could happen. That on-duty, off-duty thing could switch in a moment's notice, in a split second. So I'm going to say that although it's an off-duty gig, you're technically on duty. It's just who's paying you is the difference. So he says, so she walks up to them and noticed they did not have a body camera on in uniform and asked where the camera was. When the soccer mom, who was allegedly with the chief of department, Mike LaPetri, wink, wink, was informed by said officer they were doing a paid detail and not required to wear one as per the patrol guide. The soccer mom replied that according to a new patrol guide procedure, all uniform members must wear a body camera while on duty and working a paid detail. Authorized off-duty security in uniform, and walked away. The soccer mom then walked back over to the officer to say that they informed them that the inspection unit questions them over the issue to tell them she said it was okay and mercifully left. Allegedly, shortly thereafter, a sergeant from the chief of department's office miraculously strolls onto the scene to ask them, the officers, for the tax registry numbers and the NYPD cell phone numbers, and said if anything arises out of this encounter, they will contact said officer, and walks away. 2 hours go by. The sergeant informs said officer there's no punishment going to come from this incident, even though there's no punishment that should come from the incident because they didn't do anything wrong. Story sounds like a normal occurrence, except the patrol guy procedure was revised to reflect that what had occurred after the incident allegedly took place on 12/4/5, the same day the recruit from the recent police academy class, the soccer mom swore and 4 months ago was arrested in the police academy for allegedly rape. Below are 3 side-by-side pictures of the patrol guy and the admin guy procedures reflected in the said incident and the revision order instituted shortly thereafter this encounter. Morale is great. The locker rooms are ecstatic to come to work. Crime is at historic record lows. There's no corruption, which the mainstream media said was all rooted out upon the soccer mom's arrival on the scene. So, and then he goes on to share the revision. So as of that same date, December 4th, 2025, a uniform member of the service, off-duty employment, excluding paid detail members assignment when taking necessary action. So meaning they are going to remove that, and you will have to now wear a body camera at a paid detail incident. So what do you guys think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, did inspections have nothing better to do? That sergeant from chief of department's office had nothing better to do in the city than, these guys didn't violate any department rules. Just why you got to send a sergeant to talk to them for? What's the point of that?
Marlon, this was the biggest thing that happened in the New York City Police Department that day. They didn't care about the guy being arrested. They didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
This was drop everything at 1 PT. Jessica Tish is mad that they didn't have their body cameras, even though they're not required. And everyone scurried.
I don't even know why they have an inspections unit that leaves one police plaza. They should just have an inspection unit that just investigates the offices at 1 PP. That's it.
I worked in one police plaza for a year, and it was disgusting to watch the amount of cowards that are in that building. I just have to say that was the worst year of my career because I got to really see how many cowards are on this job and how they will do anything and screw anybody to be in that position. Oh my God. Be like, all right, Commissioner, they're not required to. All right, you want to do an order? All right, we'll change the order. Why is this an issue? You should have just walked up and said, look, I know it's bullshit. Don't worry about it, guys. We'll take care of it.
They should have had Jeffrey Madry. Jeffrey Madry should have been wearing a body camera. Maybe they would have found a lot of discipline there.
They might have had some cameras. We don't know. That's not done.
Yeah. Why would you even send a sergeant there? If I'm LaPetri, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. They didn't do anything. Why you got to take their tax ID for what?
It's like them sending Pitbull.
Yeah, am I missing something from this story? There's got to be something missing from the story. Well, because to me it seems like why does the job does stupid things like this just because a chief or somebody higher up brought it to their attention? Oh, we got to get this documented. What for? This is a waste of freaking time. Okay, that's a waste of manpower and a waste of resources to send a sergeant out there and do that nonsense. Put that sergeant on patrol somewhere. Let him go. Put him on one of those mobile field force details. That's so stupid. I mean, come on, LaPetri. Come on, guy. You got nothing better to do than tell her, okay, we'll take note of that, and you go on and change the procedure. But to even bother spending resources to go out and take these guys' names like if they did something wrong, it's just asinine.
Well, first of all, LaPetri is a complete jellyfish. All right, I've already said that. You're the chief of the department. You're the highest ranking uniform member. Why do you need someone else to address it? You've already taken care of the situation. And ultimately, why are we not making sure that, hey, are the tactics appropriate here? Have a real conversation. What's going on? Have you surveyed your post? We don't want any other police officers losing their lives doing paid detail just as we lost the life of Officer Islam, posthumously promoted to detective. Those should be the concerns. But body camera, that's their concerns. Because CCRB eventually is going to want to watch that body camera while they're doing paid detail. Now, I agree with you, John. When you're doing paid detail or any form of law enforcement and you're in full uniform, you're on duty. you're on duty. Someone else doesn't say, oh, that police officer, oh, no, they're not working right now in the precinct. They're paid detail. So I'm not going to run past them after I commit a robbery. I got to run past someone else because that guy's doing paid detail. Nobody knows. You're in full uniform. You're wearing an NYPD patch. No one cares. They don't know if you're on duty, off duty. You're in uniform. So this whole idea is just ridiculous. Now, as far as their pay and how they're taxed when they're doing paid detail, they're considered you're considered like a contractor, right? You're subcontracting for that business, and they give you a 1099. But as far as your actual performance, you're in full uniform. You're an on-duty police officer. Now, if they want the on-duty police officer doing paid detail to wear body cameras, that's an easy fix. But it doesn't have to be such an in-detailed conversation where that becomes the forte and that's the focus. Who cares? You had a police officer that lost his life at a paid detail. That should be the concern. Let's make sure that you're safe. What's the conditions here? What are the factors that you survey your post? You have all the information and intelligence needed about your post. Let's make sure of that before we start worrying about body-worn cameras so that Jonathan Darsh can have a little hard on when he's watching cops doing their job. This is just ridiculous. Again, fair leadership. You're the chief of the department, Mike LePetri. You're the chief of the department. You're the highest ranking uniform. You need to defer it to a sergeant. That's like, me correcting my kids, but then I get someone else to fix it. You're already taking care of the job. It's absolutely ridiculous. But again, Mike LePetri is a total jellyfish. I've said it already.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100% right, dude. I mean, no one's drove a sergeant or a lieutenant or a captain or somebody that's unreasonable, and you're like, dude, you're in the car with him. Like, that's your job, is to like inform them. And look, I was a boss. You're not always right. You're not always perfect. There's like you misconstrue things sometimes, or you don't know stuff. So like the incident to me like isn't that crazy, but it's the response to it that gets crazy. And I don't even blame Tish for it. I really don't. You're 100% right. I blame LePetri for it because it's like you're supposed to be the voice of reason now at that point. So if he's in that car, if that's true that he was there, he shouldn't be the chief of department. He can't even talk down an incident. Like, you know what? You're right. Maybe they should have their body cameras on. And by the way, I agree that they should have body cameras, because at this point in the game, you need to protect yourself. It's too late. The cat's out of the bag. You need that body camera now. Like, that is it. Like, if the cat's out of the bag, we're never going backwards to you not having body cameras. Policing has ultimately changed. And at the end of the day, like, you are on duty. Like Eric said, so when someone comes up to you and you're at this paid detail and you're just getting meal or whatever, and they come up to you and they're like, officer, I just got robbed. Call 911 is not your response. You are 911, right? That you're not going to do what those two girls did. You're not going to say, I'll call 911. This is in our sector. This is in our precinct. You're not going to do that. What are you going to do? You're going to get on the radio and be like, let me get a car over here. You're going to start to take the details. Let me get a supervisor over here. So that's way when the supervisor gets there, you have all the details of what happened. You're already canvassing for video or more evidence or more witnesses, or potentially, if that guy's still in the area, maybe even trying to apprehend him, if the perpetrator's still there. So I personally think it's ridiculous that they didn't need their body cameras. And I kind of almost don't even blame her for not knowing, because I'll be honest, I didn't know you didn't need a body camera when you do its paid detail. I would have assumed you needed it. And even if it said it, I'd probably be wearing it. And I assume that most cops, the sharper cops, are actually had their body camera anyway, regardless of what it said, because you might need that. And they know that, and they understand that when the incident happens, whatever happens, what's the DA going to be looking for first thing? Your body camera. What's CCRB going to be looking for? Your body camera. What's everybody going to be looking for? The job's going to be looking for. Where's his body camera? Oh, he's not required. So I don't even blame them for changing it. If Mike LePetri was in the car, huge failure on his part, because I've been in the car with duty captains, I've been in the car with lieutenants, I've been in the car with sergeants, and they got it wrong. And I've been that supervisor myself that have gotten it wrong. And I had someone next to me to lead me and say from behind and say, you're wrong. It's not in the patrol guide. Leave it alone. This, that, the other thing, blah, 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 blah. And that's what you're the chief of department, dude. Like, you couldn't do that. You know what I mean? These two guys didn't do anything wrong. They should have got, all right, guys, you did a great job. Oh, isn't it crazy? The police commissioner doesn't even know that was in the patrol guide. Good job. Commissioner said that you guys did a good job. Here's a challenge coin for both of you. Take care. Have a good day, officers. Instead, they get their balls broke by a couple little 1PP weasels.
Yeah, yeah. I think the major problem is this job is like guys don't have balls anymore. You know, I'm sorry. That listen. Sometimes you have to push back a little against a boss because you're doing things. I think you have a little leeway if you're if you're like I was never a supervisor, so I'm talking about a cop level, okay? And I'm relating it to this situation. Like I was an active cop, so I thought that gave me a little leeway to push back against a boss. And I'm not being discourteous, but sometimes they're not always right, and sometimes you have to look out for like the bigger picture ahead, you know. And you know, she made LePetri chief of department, so he should have a little leeway where he's gonna tell her, listen, I'll take care of it, you know, and not have to, just you know, send out a sergeant to go talk to these guys, you know. So I think sometimes you just you have to look at the bigger picture, and you have to grow a pair, you know. It's not just because you're pushing back doesn't mean you're being discourteous to the boss, okay? It's you're all humans, and you're not perfect, okay? And I'm gonna say that this entire thing of body cameras on paid detail brings up a lot of logistical problems, and I'm not sure if they're prepared for those, because the thing is, I never had a body camera, right? But I would think you're going to need charges for those body cameras if cops are going to be able to have to take them home. Because let's say I'm doing a paid detail in Brooklyn, and I used to do paid details all the time, so I know. Sometimes I used to work in Brooklyn, and I'm doing a paid detail in the Bronx, and I don't have enough time to come to the precinct in the middle of Brooklyn, essentially, which was where the 7-7 was when I'm living on the edge of Brooklyn at the time, and then go to the Bronx. I only have enough time that I have to, head directly to the Bronx for my paid detail. So now you're bringing in a logistical challenge where cops either need the charger at home, or they're gonna the nearest precinct, the precinct that they're doing the paid detail is gonna have to supply them with a body camera. Do we have enough body cameras for that? So I mean, you can change the rules all you want, Tish, but you prepared for this logistical problem that you've now introduced?
So there's two things I want to discuss here. One is leadership, which is a complete failure of the NYPD, right? I've heard numerous rumors from several people and some very highly credible sources that Jessica Tish basically throws tantrums when things don't go her way or things that she doesn't like. And that, to me, that's a lack of leadership. That also, to me, is another sign of incompetence. So when I used to see supervisors or people in supposed leadership yell and scream for something that's kind of minuscule, to me, that was a red flag, and that was a sign that they were incompetent. And that was overcompensating for their lack of knowledge or their ability. And she has a lack of knowledge when it comes to policing. She's never actually done it. She's an intelligent person, but in a different wheelhouse. And policing is a complete different wheelhouse. Now, especially for her and Mike LePentry, that could have been a very easy conversation. And maybe that's a great conversation to have and say, you know what? Because as good leaders, you learn from the people that actually have the boots on the ground, that see things in the front row view. Much different when you're Mike LePentry or Jessica Tish, where you see things from the rear, right? In the rear of the gear. They could say, well, that would be an opportunity to say, well, should they wear body cameras? Should they not? And then that's a good time to analyze it and figure out why. Instead of right away trying to reprimand or discipline or try to make the cop feel small, maybe say, okay, so right now you don't have to wear body cameras. That's something that you should really look at, because I agree with you, Marlon, about the logistics of it. And that's why it's so tough for police officers to go to a location that they're not assigned to, right? Where things are not in your locker, or you have to bring things. Because, John, you made a good point. I think the body camera has become almost like a part of the uniform, just as your firearm, right? You don't go out in uniform without your firearm. At this point, do you necessarily go out without a body camera? But there's some other issues, I think, that cause a potential issue. What if you're working at a bank, you're doing pay detail, and they want you to escort them in a vault or things like that? Now, those body cameras, supposedly, when you click them, that's when it records. But we know that, in fact, it's constantly recording. Now, that bank may not want the police officer wearing a body camera filming the inside of a vault or a very private, vulnerable location of a classified location. They would not want the police officers wearing their body cameras. So I think there's a lot more issues on just whether you wear it or not. There's a lot more, as Marlon put it, brilliantly put it, logistical issues. Because if you are going to wear a body camera, you're subcontracted, and you're really, yes, you're on duty, but you're working at the behest of this of the organization that's actually paying you, whether it's Chase Bank, whether it's one of these other locations. So when do you take that body camera off? When do you put it on? Because the thing's always recording. So this is not a simple yes or no answer of wear it or not. I think there's a lot more detail and a lot more there's a lot more critical information that has to be analyzed as far as wearing it on paid detail. John, what are your thoughts?
I think first of all, I think screw the corporations, because you work for the New York City Police Department. That's your main job, and that should be your main concern. And your main concern should be keeping your career and getting to your pension and getting to your retirement. So I don't care who it is. I don't care if I'm working for Rockefeller Foundation. I don't care if I'm working for BlackRock. Screw them. I work for the New York City Police Department. I don't care if I'm guarding a federal building that day. New York State, is a one-party state, meaning I could record you. There's only one party that needs to know about you being recorded, and it could be you. So when it comes to protecting your job, I throw all that shit out the window, right? And I'm hitting that body camera. The other problem is like we're creatures of habit, like we're trained to do motions. And that was my big problem with the body camera initially. I'm like, this is not something that cops know how to do, right? Like my first reaction is going to be, oh my God, you see this guy getting robbed? Let me turn my body camera on. Like that's not going to be my first reaction. It's probably not. I'm going to probably be done with the job, and I'm going to be like, holy shit, I never turned my body camera on. You know what I mean? Holy shit, I never put that on, because I hadn't done it for the 15 years prior to body cameras being instituted, right? Like, so it's not a natural thing. So, but now you have all these new guys trained into it. And so what do? Do you stand differently? Do you react differently at paid detail than you do when you're in Sector Adam, or you're patrolling the streets in New York, or you're in your squad? No, you're the same cop you are in Sector Adam as the same cop you are protecting BlackRock. You're that same cop, right? All of your tactics are going to remain exactly the same. So meaning like you're standing there, your duty's in front of Blackstone that day or whatever it is. Now there's a bad interaction. I'm sure it's like second nature now that these guys are hitting their body cameras, right? And you're at paid detail, and now what? You're hitting your chest, like, that could screw you up, because this is all. It's all embedded to you, and it's ingrained into you, right? Like when the shit hits the fan, what are you doing? You're a lefty or a righty. You're going to your waistband to grab your gun, right? And like that's not something that you're even doing consciously any further. So like it's in your subconscious now, and I'm sure the amount of recordings that these guys are doing now they're subconsciously probably just hitting that body camera. And I don't think you should change how you arrest people, how you react to people, how you gather evidence just because you're working for another corporation. I personally don't like paid detail. I'm not a fan of it. I've never done it. I don't think anybody should do it. That's my personal opinion on it. I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's not pensionable. I'd rather sign up and do Juve all weekend and do the West Indian Day Parade than stand in Macy's for a paid detail. That's just me personally. I get it. You meet a lot of people doing the paid detail. You probably set yourself up for after the job, like depending where you work, and you probably get other employment opportunities as a result of it. Not something I want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems that come up with paid detail, and it's not just this, but it's like, some of my last paid details, I realized how much of a problem it is, because I would see people who looked like they were about to pilfer something or shoplift, and they really didn't want me to like, take any preemptive action. And I realized that's a problem for me because, I'm a cop, and I realized it's like they want your presence there. They don't want you to actually take action, And I realized that's a problem, and I'm not doing this certain details. Like in that case, I believe that was a detail in Macy's, And so I gave up on those, and I stuck to TD Banks before I totally left it. And at a certain point when you're away from home, you realize this ain't worth it anymore. I'm making scraps here. Nah, I'd rather be home right now. But I was going to say something about Inspector Layson of the Executive Perspective brought up a good point here. He says, who's going to pay the off-duty members for the time it takes to tag any activation? That's a good point. That's another challenge that this brings up. And I'm going to say, unfortunately, I think we're headed down a road where the body cameras will eventually be turned on by themselves. The AI will turn itself on and turn itself off. Yeah, off. When it wants, because the examples John just brought up, it's a problem.
So Lily, how you doing? Great friend to the podcast. She's always here. We appreciate it. I got to push back. She says, Eric, I have to disagree. It's not always recording. It's only when the officer needs important information in relation to a crime being reported. Well, I think we completely debunked that. That with acts on cameras, they're constantly buffering and constantly viewing everything that's being done. So John and I spoke about this on an actual episode. It's a complete lie. It's recording everything. And we talked about how it violates the privacy of people when they actually use the restrooms, and then females should be concerned because they have to remove a lot of clothing when they're wearing that body camera. So I totally disagree. It actually sees everything. But to your point, there's just too much logistics in this. And that's why I think ultimately the flashpoint to this is that it's not as simple, yes, wear it, or no, don't wear it. There's a lot of factors involved. Former retired Inspector Layson brings up a great point. Ron brought up a great point here. It takes time to tag this, right? And in most cases, when cops work pay detail, right, or you can work up to the rank of captain. If you're working a paid detail, after that detail ends, that law enforcement officer is going home. They're not going back to their precinct. So that's a logistical nightmare, and I agree with it. Who's paying that? I don't think that Chase Bank wants to flip the bill for the cop having to go back to the precinct to tag their body cameras. So yes, John, while I agree, they do work for the New York City Police Department. I totally get that, but at the same token, they're being subcontracted, so they have to follow both. They have to work for the New York City Police Department, follow laws and procedures, but they're also subcontracting and supporting this private industry, and that's what they're paying for. So I just don't think it's a simple yes or no.
I do. I disagree. Like, because when you're on duty and now something happens, you're on duty. Like, you're off duty and now something happens and now you're on duty and you go to your body camera. New York City Police Department should pay you. You should have to go back to the precinct that you're at and mark your thing, and they should pay you the money for it. It's overtime. NYPD is so stingy with overtime. It's disgusting, and yet they either hand it out sloppily and give it out to nobody, or they're running the cash for ass programs or everything else. They should actually pay you overtime for doing your job. Like, it's not like a hard thing. Like, I had to stay and write a 49. When you're a sergeant, just so you know, the one thing that sucks about being a sergeant is basically every incident that happens, you got to write a detailed report about it. Now, some days you don't even have time to take a meal, so you have to write those detailed reports after your shift, right? So you're on patrol, you could come back, you might have 5-6 49s you got to do, right? And so, I mean, AI is probably helping you guys. I mean, I think that's definitely that could definitely speed things up for you 100%. Sleepy Joe has said it just now. AI. I listen. I would be doing it if I was on the job. I would be doing it, but I would still, anything you do in AI, you correct it and you rewrite it in your own words, right? And you verify it and you go back. But it'll shorten the length of you having to draft all that, right? But like, for years we were told you can't get any overtime for 49s, and for years I would say, okay, no problem. I gotta stay after work. I'm not doing this shit for free. I put in for cash too. I'm not putting in for time either. I would put in for cash. And all the sergeants would be mad at me. Like, how are you getting all this overtime? I'm like, I have to stay every night and do 5-6 49s. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not staying for free. I'm not doing it. I don't care. Like, okay. The CO said you can't get overtime for doing the 49s. Okay. I still did it. And you know what the CO said to me? Nothing, because he knew. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not, what are you going to do? I came into work one day and the sergeant tried to hand the 49 off to me. He had like literally like 3 words written on a piece of paper. I was like, dude, get out of here. Go handle that job. Finish it. The CO doesn't want me doing 49. I was like, well, I don't give a shit. I'm not doing it. And the lieutenant told me that I needed to do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, you could do it, or I'm reinvestigating this whole case, and that's it. I was like, I'm not doing it. It's his job. I am not putting my name on that. I don't know what he did. Are you signing off on this? Because I'm not. And then the lieutenant looked at him and was like, yeah, go back out and finish that for you. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not an idiot. I don't care. Like, I don't care what they said or he said or you can't get this. I think that's the problem. The NYPD is so cheap, and yet they utilize money so incorrectly. It's not even funny, and it's all because they're incompetent, and that's basically what it is. It's people are incompetent. That's really what it is. I mean, look at this whole mobile field force thing, dude. Like, I get complaints every day from people doing mobile field force. First grade detectives, sergeants, lieutenants, they're all complaining about mobile field force. And then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, how effective is even mobile field force? They all hate it. You're losing guys by the dozens every day because they don't want to do mobile field force. And like, what are you really getting from it? What are you getting from it as a police department? What's New York City getting from mobile field force? How many guys have made an arrest on mobile field force? How many guys have prevented a crime on mobile field force? How many guys have written a summons, have handled a 911 job? I guarantee, like, if you looked at the numbers of what actually, like, you could quantify into what the results of mobile field force are, there's zero. You're going to be like, is Jessica Tisch a moron? And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, she must be. Is Michael Petrie a moron? Yeah, he must be. Like, because, like, what are you doing? What do you even have them doing this for? Why do you have people standing out on foot posts? I get the Christmas tree. I get those high priority posts. I even get you want to do a shooting post, fine. How are you quantifying and justifying doing a mobile field force? You can't. And like, what is the cost on the city for that? It's in the millions. It's in the millions, and you're getting nothing out of it. You're getting absolutely nothing out of it other than destroying the morale of guys, and you're increasing the attrition rates because guys are leaving, guys are vesting, guys are resigning, and people are doing it as a result of mobile field force. And you know how I know that? Because a couple of people asked me yesterday to put out a post about mobile field force, so I did it. And when I did it, the thing went viral. You know why it went viral? Because every cop is pissed about having to do a mobile field force. Every cop. But yet they have no problem doing that. But I can't get overtime because I had an incident on duty, off duty, and now I have to do what's required for me to do. Screw that. Take the overtime.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Patrick Donahue. My tinfoil hat. It's not tinfoil hat, buddy. You see this book? I don't know if you guys can read it. It's my recommendation, right? So Stephen S., if you saw that, it's my recommendation for you too. But that book tells you what's coming, and that's why those body-worn cameras are soon going to be able to directly beam footage back to some server. So it's all out there. You know what's coming. But I'm gonna say these going back to these paid details again. Some of these paid details, man, are like, I think as the city gets, what I noticed is as crime got worse in the city and as conditions got worse in the city, the paid detail became more work for you, because I remember like a couple times I'm doing work in Harlem and like across the street they're firing shots, and I had to get on the radio. Another time I'm doing work by like 120th. There's some co-ops over there by 120th and like First Avenue. And I go on a break across the street to get a drink at the bodega. And the squad is in there looking at video. And they're like, yeah, this guy, there was just a robbery in here. And that guy on camera just walked into the building that you're doing paid detail in. So I go back to that building. And then the dude comes out of the elevator, goes to walk outside. I end up like putting cuffs on him. and then calling the precinct, and they told me that disregard it, you know. But I'm telling you, like, some of these paid details, man, are like so much work. It's just at a certain point in your career, when you get tired of it, you realize this ain't worth it to me anymore. And this is why there should be more of a focus on you know, we got to look at a bigger picture, you know, and a bigger picture is you know, not White Sox enforcement and BS, and look at a bigger picture of the conditions of the city and where it's headed to, you know. And yeah, I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, those IHOPs guys, if they still have paid detail at IHOP, man, don't. That's a pain in the butt in itself, you know. IHOP. So.
Now, dude, I'm glad you brought up IHOP. I used to go to IHOP in the Bronx, right off Castle Hill. Do not do paid detail. It's 3 in the morning. I used to go late at night. I lived in the Bronx almost a decade. 3 in the morning, there was just brawls in IHOP. It's like you could get pancakes and a fight, you know. So yeah.
You went to IHOP at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're telling people not to go to a seedy hotel room?
No, listen. Hold on a minute. In my defense, I worked in the Bronx. I lived in the Bronx for a decade. And sometimes, you know, I'm leaving 2:30 in the morning. I'm starving. There's nothing open. So I would go to IHOP. And then after a while, like a couple of fights broke out. They're like, this is probably not the place I want to go to. So yeah, you're right.
I go to bed hungry, bro. I go to bed with hungry. I'll go to bed hungry. Like,
listen, I ended up making I never forget. I think it was about a little more than 10 years ago. I ended up making an off-duty call at Crosstown Diner. Everybody knows that diner up in the 405 precinct. I used to go to that diner once in a while, but got a little crazy over there. I had to throw a girl across the table, but you know, so yeah, listen, you got it's better than a seedy hotel though. So Patrick Donahue says here, which he's actually right. One of the biggest issues with mobile field force is that details aren't spread out evenly over uniformed members of the service. The small clique of untouchables who aren't detailed eligible is a number one morale killer. Yeah, that's very true. That falls on leadership, right? We see it all the time where there's a couple of cops will specifically be targeted for details being displaced, but then there's a couple that are untouchables because they have connections on the job also. So you're absolutely right. You know, I've actually seen it personally. You know, when I went from hero to zero in the last couple of months of my career, I was constantly getting detailed out to Times Square, and at first they would mix it up. They were doing it evenly between myself and a couple other lieutenants, but then there was one female lieutenant who just got there. I think she had about 84 seconds in rank, and she was crying about it. I found out, you know, she was crying about it to the CO behind closed doors. But instead of him having balls and saying, "Hey, listen, you know, we're going to spread this out evenly," he caved. You know, he caved, and I said I wasn't going to bitch about it. I said, "Fine, I'll do it. I don't care." I mean, I knew I was out the door anyway. I had more CCRBs than I like to. But you're absolutely right, Pat. You're absolutely right, brother. I mean, it's not fair, but that falls on leadership, right? It has to be spread evenly. Especially, no one likes being displaced, right? It's like leaving your home. All your equipment, everything is there for you to have proper preparation for police work, for your daily. You know, but going out to a mobile field force to a different location, and what time are you working to, and do you have all your equipment? It's a logistical nightmare. That's one thing that's pretty abstract to being a police officer. You're spot on, brother.
Yeah. All right, peoples. 2 hours, 17 minutes. Anything else before we get out of here on this lovely Friday?
Yeah, I just want to mention one more thing to my good friend John Shell, who's out there on Twitter threatening people. Be careful, big guy. Listen, you're not a chief anymore. They can't protect you. You're no longer the chief of the department. I know you don't know that. It was only a couple of weeks ago, but just be careful. Shout out to Katie Honan for calling him out. What are your thoughts on that, John? I know you kind of defended him a little bit, which I think was funny, but what are your thoughts?
Listen, I think, you know, I think one, I don't think John Shell should have ever been the chief of department or any chief in any star for that matter. But and you can tell by the way he acts on social media in retirement, right? So he's out there telling people that SRG is going to throw you on the ground and lock you up. I don't really think it was a threat. I just think you shouldn't tweet while you're out at a bar late at night. You shouldn't tweet when you're having a few cocktails in the yard. You shouldn't tweet during those times because you're not going to come off too good. You're not going to come off professional. You're not going to come off coherently. And that's what happened. And he's got to realize you were the chief. You were the chief of department for the largest police department in the world. Everything you're going to say is going to be scrutinized 8 ways to Sunday, including not even the things you do online, including I've heard conversations that you've had with people at certain events because they've reframed it to me, not because I've asked. People just call to tell me about it. And I'm like, yeah, he's not that smart. He's not a great communicator. He doesn't understand that how much power his words have. And, Katie Honan went after him. A lot of people went after him. Nerdine, whatever, the girl that runs Within Our Lifetime. I mean, he should the reason she's so vocal and the reason her organization hasn't been looked into is because of John Schell. It's clear as day. Like there's some type of funding going on there, and they're going out and they're putting online that they're going to take over critical infrastructure in New York City, and they were allowed to. And I blame John Schell for that, and I blame Cass Daughtry for that, and I blame all of the previous police commissioners for that from 2023 on. And so I just think like he's got to, like, if you're going to be out there in the public and continue to be out there in the public, you're on the next level of celebrity, even though the dude's irrelevant. Nobody really cares what he's saying because of the title he held and like everything he said for the rest of his life. Former chief of department, and he just for some reason doesn't get it and doesn't understand it. And as much as they talk shit about us and what we say online, we're 1,000 times more professional than the last chief of department is when he's online.
Wait, John, I got to ask you a question. I'm just curious. So is the message to people out there, if they want to call Scott Monroe and take an Uber, don't drink and drive, and don't tweet, drink and drive? Don't tweet and drink?
Don't feed anybody after midnight. Don't tweet after 9 p.m. Don't tweet on the weekends after 9 p.m. Like, that should be the message. But yeah, 100%. Like that night where he was coming at us, 100%.
That's hilarious.
Scott Monroe should have used that Uber detail, sent it right to the tavern, and had him driven home. Because do us all a favor. I don't mind the nasty text. Make sure you're taking an Uber home. You got enough money, right? You got some extra scratch now, right? That's all. Instead of worrying about Eric's resort fees, take the Uber, bro.
Well, I really think he must have had some childhood trauma. He really hates trailer parks. He keeps talking about trailer parks. I want to know what happened, John. What happened with you at a trailer park? Because you really have some childhood trauma. I don't know what. I'm curious. He constantly tells me, he doesn't like the trailer park. So I wonder what happened there. Gotta find out, John.
I like Sleepy Joe's suggestion, the Dream Team podcast. I love to hear it. The thing is, like, you can't have the Dream Team podcast because they all stepped on each other's graves. You know what I mean? They'll all chop each other's head off in 2 seconds. They're not really friends. They're not really a team. They're all self-serving. It's like, oh, Madry got taken out. Yes, I'm gonna be the chief of the park. He was your mentor 24 hours ago, and now you're stepping on his grave, and you never mentioned the guy again.
These are the last guys you'd want to be in Vietnam with. You don't have to worry about your enemies. These guys frag each other. That's what you got to worry about. These guys who shoot each other right in the back.
Yeah. You drop dead, bro. He's taking the medal off your chest and putting it on his. He's like, yeah, he's got a hot wife, bro. I'm going to give her a call as soon as we get back.
Oh, that doesn't happen to NYPD, right, John?
Yeah, no. They only do that at your funeral. At your funeral, they're hitting on your wife. That's what they do.
They're giving your wife a memorial card and your phone number.
Like, she's got that line of duty money, She got that line of duty money. Stealth.
Yeah, you shouldn't rage out in a bar, Jojo. Yeah, you shouldn't hulk out in the bars. What am I talking about? You'll see.
Marlon, he said one of his biggest achievement was getting his name on the bar stool, like Norm from Cheers. Like, you went from chief of department to Norm from Cheers. Like, that's who you went. I never watched Cheers much, but I remember watching it as a kid, and this line always stuck with me with Norm. And he's like, he's sitting at the bar stool, and he's like talking to the bartender. I think the bartender was Woody Harrelson, and he's like, people are such losers. Just the other day, this guy comes in, he's at the bar, and he sits next to me for 8 hours having a conversation. How do you have 8 hours to sit at a bar? And Woody Harrelson's just looking at him, because he's there every day, all day, and he's ranking on the other guy that comes in, and like that's what Schell has came in.
That reminds me of? That's Juju. Juju, how do you have all this time to spend all day at the Finest Unfiltered between writing books, teaching classes, doing police work, going to soccer games? How do you do this?
Juju's scared, bro. He's scared. Juju, we're not gonna out you just yet, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know what juju means. You're a handsome fella. Saw a picture of you.
Juju, do you have any connections to All Cops Are Woke? You think we forgot? I didn't forget.
Secret lovers. Yeah.
And then you show up at the West Shore Inn. Whatever that, not the West Shore Inn, whatever that was. So,
Yeah. Oh, Juju's a masseuse, right?
Yeah, Danny says Juju has been incredibly quiet recently. What happened? I don't know, dude. I don't know. You know,
you gotta take some extra courses at John Jay.
Sal half-outed him, and now he's terrified, dude. He's completely terrified. Joe Mango says, is Juju part of the Hispanic Society? No. But we will say he's part of an Asian Pacific Islander society. There's numerous ones, so he's part of one of those. And he's an actor, a singer, a songwriter, an author, a professor, and he's the smartest NYPD cop we've ever had. So
he writes books.
Yeah, he I'm sure he's probably working on a new movie. Yeah. That's probably why he's not in the chat anymore.
I wonder if Juju and the mayor-elect have done any movies together in Bollywood, maybe.
Yeah. Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
He's the Slumdog Lieutenant. He's Slumdog Lieutenant.
Yeah. Brooklyn Girl put Secret Lovers song. Yeah, it's a great song. That's the two of them be singing together. All right, let's do the coffee and donuts.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, wait. Before we get to that, John.
Sorry.
Yeah. There was a great video of a stolen vehicle that went the wrong way in the Bronx. I just want to shout out the coordination that was involved in between aviation and ESU, because the guy went the wrong way on the I don't know if it was across Bronx or whatever, but the fact that aviation was tracking him the whole time, and then they coordinated with ESU, so ESU finally moved in on him in the parking lot. But I just want to shout out the units involved, because I thought that was fantastic coordination and great police work.
Wait, Marlon, I got a question. They were able to pull this off without John Shell and Kaz Daughtry?
Yeah, and without drones. Who you figure? Yeah.
Wow.
Lily said, "Can you show the video?" Let's see if we get it next time. Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of shout outs,
check on December 4th, Lily, for the NYPD.
I think so. Other shout out. I think we got to shout out Councilwoman Vicky Palladino. So that incident in Melba, Queens, NYPD arrested the main perpetrator, Justin Aguilera, 19-year-old of Queens. He's charged with gang assault, felony assault, assault 3, riot, and trespass. Right. So again, that's all those charges. That should have been what that complaint report was taken by. And so the investigation is ongoing. There's several more suspects that the NYPD is going to pick up. But none of this happens without Vicky Palladino, without her really staying on top of the NYPD. And I shout her out for her leadership for doing that, but it's disgraceful that she needs to do that, because if we were a competent police department, that shit would have just happened the minute 911 was called. Or that ball would have started rolling and that would have went downhill. But now you need people to actually tell you how to do your job, what you need to do, how you need to arrest people, and that only gets done because of her. So shout out to Vicky Palladino.
You know what's funny, John? Before you go to the coffee and donuts, every time I see a picture now of that block with everything's on fire, blown up, and all that comes to my mind, I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a misdemeanor.
It's sick, dude. So I mean, who looks at that and doesn't know that all those charges are there?
That's my point. Yeah.
Crazy shit. So, all right. So. Oh man, why can't I read anymore? I'm telling you, my eyes get tired after 2 hours. I'm getting old. I'm gonna have to get glasses or something.
Dude, you need a bigger screen.
Join the club.
I do need a bigger screen. You're right, Marlon. You do. All right. So Freddie Herren 7968. He says, "Good morning, brothers. Great show as usual. I know we got a lot of people on Instagram this morning too, so I appreciate you, Fred. And I just want to say again, if you're on Instagram and you want to join the chat, you got to go over to YouTube, dude. And if you're on X, if you guys could go over to YouTube too, just because YouTube actually sends money for us, so I would appreciate it. But other than that, the chat's live. I think we got about 800 people on here this morning, but we have like 250 people in the YouTube chat alone. So they're like the chat's pretty lively and active. And I don't pull up everything on the screen. It's honestly hard. I'm like, that's why I have it running alongside, and I kind of want to go away from that, even pulling up the big ones, except for just the super chats, because it's killing my eyes. I can't read it. So then Popeye, I think this is Popeye Damn It, but they changed his name. He says, does Eric have servants that constantly fill his never emptying golden chalice? Let's see a golden chalice, Eric. I didn't notice it. Oh wow, look, that's fancy, bro. The woman across the street from me got that. She drinks her wine in it.
This is like Roman times, man. Caesar would drink this stuff.
Caesar. Golden chalice. Julio Tavares Vega, or Julio Tavares Vega. I don't know how you pronounce it. We are low on donuts and coffee. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you for sending that in.
Yep. Start sending some coffee and donuts, and now it's going to be union dues.
Eric asked, I guess this is Eric asked, 3867. You guys should change your tampons. I think we were pretty good today. I wasn't bleeding today. I've had a couple episodes where I was bleeding. It wasn't today. You know,
when I was in Iraq, I used to carry tampons, actually. So, that's like really important equipment. So yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah, we'll send you some. We'll put it in your locker. Maybe we'll go get some Finest Unfiltered tampons. That's a good idea.
Send some to the unions. I'm sure he's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
We'll call them fun puns. Finest Unfiltered tampons. Fun puns.
Juju's probably hugging one right now. Like, oh my God, give it to me.
Juju and all cops will walk. They probably put the tampons in for each other. Yeah, I got you. Except they put it in the back end.
They put them in the other hole. Yeah.
How's that feel, brother?
So NYPD 8311. Unions are absent. Your show is the only voice and justice for current MOS. Keep speaking up. Thank you. Appreciate that. I mean, it's sad state of affairs, and to be fair, that's why the unions hate us, and I don't blame them. I'd hate it too if we had a whole game that was going on, a whole charade that people are like, oh, look behind the curtain, and that's what we're, they're the Wizard of Oz, and we're the people that pulled the curtain back, and we're like, oh yeah, there's the wizard. There's the wizard. He's like some short little fat guy who doesn't give a shit about police. All right, I'm gonna have to remove Eric's permissions.
I love this stuff.
What was that exactly? I don't even know what that sounds like. Now.
It was like a gong.
You know what's funny? Before StreamYard came out with that, I wanted to have sirens and put on when people say certain things. I was like, no way. Oh, we got it. It's coming.
It's good for this segment, though. It's good.
No, it's good.
Eddie West, what's up, brother? I foresee a fat lawsuit. Oh, we did this one already. 100%. Like I said, I think these guys have a lawsuit. I think that you'll probably see a lawsuit come out, but it ain't going to come out from the NYPD unions. It's going to come out and the NYPD lawyers that they have on payroll that you pay for, that you're entitled to. It's going to come out from a private attorney. I personally believe that. And I think regardless of how that case turns out, and again, I just want to say one more time, Jessica Tisch really needs to end the insanity now. And if she really gave a shit about the police department, she would end that right now. She would let these guys go about their lives and move on and let every other cop know that when you're in the right, she'll protect you. Stop playing the political game. Stop playing the bullshit. Sleepy Joe ran into Sewell once at the academy. She was a nice person, smiled and said hi. I didn't get off why. She didn't give off why is this disgusting blue shirt looking at me vibe like Tisch gives off. I mean, listen, I think that she's more, she's definitely more blue collar to Sewell. I think she's more well-liked. I think she's more personable than mainly everyone in the upper echelon of the NYPD. But again, I really got no respect for her because again, she terminated Marlon Bethel. So, and she herself, I don't believe was vaccinated. That's my personal opinion. I don't have any information on that. She terminated numerous people. She didn't stand up. I could have went back to the police department if she would have just stood up, and like she didn't. And so I really have no respect for her. So I don't care. She's a nice person or whatever. A lot of guys are nice guys. Mike Kemper's a nice guy. I don't think he was a great chief, and I don't think he's doing great work in the MTA either. Those guys are actually miserable with Taffy, him, and all the other idiots running around from the New York City Police Department. MTA guys are like, these guys came here and they're ruining this job. You know,
Mike Kemper misses calling. He should have been a car salesman. That guy's good, man. He could have sold any car. Listen, this car doesn't have an engine right now, but you'll love it. It's great. Just don't look in the eye, and you'll be fine. Mike Kemper.
But to be fair, I got way more respect for Mike Kemper than I do for.
Oh, me too.
The rest of the dream, I got way more respect for Mike Kemper than that because, you know, he was a man about it. He understood he was in a leadership role. He was open to the criticism. He laughed at it. He didn't even care.
No, he was cool. He was cool.
Yeah. You know, it's told to you so back when. A Finest Unfiltered Christmas party. Let's meet up. You know what? Maybe that's not a bad idea. I got to look at my schedule. I think I'm coming up in a week or 2 weeks. I don't know. You know me with the dates. Probably 3 weeks if I said a week or two.
Yeah, we should have a Chris Kringle.
Yeah. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Like I know I'll definitely be meeting up with Marlon and some other people. Maybe we could do something like that.
No, I would love to do it, especially Eddie West. Yo, brother, if he's still here, we should do it with some cigars, man. We'll have a nice little cigar party. So, and we've been talking about it a long time. We got to have a cigar with Eddie West. And a lot of other people here, too.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. But maybe we'll shout out. I'll let you guys know where I am. Do Bay Ridge in Manhattan or something. So, the Dookie captain called John. And then it says, John is Arsenio Hall in Coming to America. Hi. Let's talk about like all right. Enough with that.
That's
Enough with
hilarious.
that.
I love this thing.
Here we go. It's Hassan. Hassan, we don't know if he fell asleep yet, but so Hassan, the original Mo. I don't like that name because, you know, you wouldn't even know about Mo if it wasn't for me. If it wasn't for me making fun of my old PBA delegate. And everybody loves that. He's like, come on, Mo. People on the job, actually, because I would always talk about him. They always, when they see me, they're like, yo, Mo. And that's all I had. I was making fun of my PBA delegate. Like, oh, he was hysterical. Funny ass guy. So he says, good morning, Mo. Marlon the Mute and Eric the Unfit for Duty Kings. You guys got to understand, no Mo, no views, no show. I buy my airtime, no sleep. Yes, Layson is shaky. Sal has gotten back to low information recruiting and, of course, always in loving memory of Derek. So I agree with Eric. I think Hassan is a friend, but he's also, he's Juju's #1 troll, Hassan's #2 troll. Yeah.
He's the man chat, a friend and troll.
And he hooked what's it called? He hooked Layson the other day. Good. He got him. Good.
Oh, he got him.
Him shaky. So that's it. He's got him.
Said here at we should do the party at Joyce's Tavern. That's actually a great idea. I think Ron Layson said it.
That's not a bad idea.
That's a great idea.
I was actually enjoying. You know, it's funny. I was actually enjoying. Just recently, I had lunch there.
Yo.
And I went to the what is it? I went to the Filancino right around the block from there over there too. But I don't like that Filancino. I like the one in the 123. I like the one on Forest Avenue. I like the other ones better. That's the Royal Crown's like new version of a restaurant. Really cool. Like it's still the bakery, but they got a lot more like menu options. It's really.
I'm
cool.
sorry. This comment is hilarious. It's not coffee and donuts, but it has to be read. Hassan, you deserve it. You paid $49.99. Hassan said that Marlon smokes cigars backwards.
That's it. Leave Marlon alone. Just because he's not good with the mute button. You know.
Yeah. Marlon could.
I've been pretty good lately. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys been going mute a lot more than me.
And so and Marlon's like the guy, you know, if he was on the job still, he'd be getting rip after rip for not activating his body camera. Or he'd be activating his body camera on times when he'd be getting ripped for that.
Yeah,
oh shit.
probably.
What I tell you today, I told you, Marlon's the guy that shows up to roll call 10 minutes early, but he ends up being 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, Marlon's early, but he's running around. I'm like, dude, can you get it? Like, we got 30 seconds. Let's go.
Stay still.
Yeah. Rafael Martinez, shout out to you, brother. He says, for making the sauce, it's not gravy. I don't want to hear about the gravy. I don't want to hear what they call in Jersey. The Italians off the boat in Jersey call. I don't care. It's sauce. That's it.
Gravy.
Yeah. KB, shout out to you. $1.99. Appreciate it. Danny Corinza. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Let's see. You guys drunk a lot. I guess drink a lot. And like Hassan says, you never go to the bathroom. Oh, you guys drink a lot and you never go. You guys using a Finest Unfiltered bedside commode or something weird. But you got to be able to handle. You got to be able to handle, bro. You a cop. Like,
I just shake my leg when I got to go to bed.
No, you get a couple
Gatorade as I'm getting
bottles,
older, like I gotta pee now more. Like, you know what I mean? Like I definitely I make sure I start drinking less before bed now. And then even then sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and gotta pee. So you gotta be able to hold it. I mean, when you're a cop, you're constantly holding your pee.
You better go check your prostate.
Yeah. Don't pretend. First of all, Eric's talking shit, but as soon as we jump off this, he's gonna be the first one to jump off of this.
I am.
He does it every time. He gets right up and he pisses.
I got the bladder of a pregnant woman. So.
Yeah. And then, all right. Then we got one more from Rafael Martinez. Eric, let me know about the cigar night. I'm definitely down. Let's grab some Blanton or Hibiki. Wow, Blanton's or Hibiki. I don't like that Japanese whiskey. I mean, to be fair, I haven't drank in a couple of years, but when I did, I was a big whiskey guy, but I was never into those Japanese whiskeys. I never liked them.
Oh, you don't like sake?
Yeah. No, the whiskey, like the Hibiki whiskey, like won like Scotch whiskey of the year or some shit.
Yep.
But I never liked it. I don't know. I always liked Macallan I always liked the Dirty Johnny Walker Black too. That was solid.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big bourbon guy. I like bourbon. John Shell, what do you like? I like bourbon. What do you like? I'm curious.
Bourbon. I was definitely a fan of. I would do like Angel's Envy. I forget a bunch of bourbons I liked.
I like Four Roses. That's
that's an old school one. The Four Roses.
I like it. Good stuff.
Yeah. That one. Yeah. That what was the other stuff? Cognac I used to drink sometimes. I can't think of the brand that I used to drink.
Hennessy.
Nah, not Hennessy. There was a better one. I can't think of the brand.
VSOP.
VSOP, yep. Because all the Russians drink. That was like they actually got me onto that, like drinking that cognac. Because I was at a Russian wedding one time and we were just drinking cognac in like these little cups.
No, that's good stuff.
I was hammered. I was out of my mind that night. And then the next day I woke up and went to the gym and I was like, oh, I love this. I was like, I love that. I'll drink that shit any day,
Cigar Go says monkey shoulder. Monkey shoulders, yeah, pretty good. I've had that a couple of times. It's strong though. It's very smoky, but good stuff.
Yeah. And then what else? But my favorite, I gotta say, like summertime, favorite drink, tequila. Like just clear tequila. Like that. I like tequilas.
If you like tequila, I think the best is Tres Años. Try that. Oh, awesome.
There's a lot of good ones now. I mean, everybody's got a tequila, but there's a lot of not so expensive, but like $100, you get like a good clean tequila. But I'll be honest, dude, I used to like drinking on the weekends or like drinking at the end of the week, and like it's the last thing I want to do ever. Like ever. If I have to meet somebody out or something, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to drink?" and I'm like, "Ugh." I just really does nothing for me anymore. I think I'm just old. Zima, baby. KB says Zimas. I had a lot of nights young. I was probably like 14 and 15 drinking Zimas. And then we would put a Jolly Rancher in the Zima. You ever do that?
I can tell you what scarred me for life. I'll never forget. I think I was about maybe 16 or 17. Me and my friends, we would go to this hood rat store in Stapleton in Staten Island. And, that's where I lived out there. And I got, I think, a bottle of St. Ides. It was like cranberry or raspberry flavor. It was like $1.50. And
2 for $3, bro. You could get St. Ides or Crazy Horse. 2 for $3.
I threw up my guts outside my door.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's scarred me for life. After that, I didn't throw up for like 20 years. It was terrible.
Yeah, I was never a big drinker because when I was a kid, we could go to the delis and like get St. Ides or Crazy Horse or Zima. And so like I would drink then. So I had all those bad experiences before I ever hit 21. So by the time I was 21, I was like, I don't really like drinking that much. Eddie West says, nah, you gotta have honey Jack Daniels. Oh, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Cigars from Rosario's. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They actually do dip cigars in the honey Jack. Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Yeah.
That sounds
like
good.
I didn't know they did that.
Eddie West probably likes it. The Gentleman Jack. That's pretty good.
Gentleman Jack. Yeah, I was never a big fan of Jack though. I don't like it. It doesn't do well for me the next day, bro. Like I like even in my 30s when I would drink on occasion or like at the end of the week, like once a week, I always like try to stay high quality alcohol. I don't think Jack Daniels does.
Well, I go with the oldie but goodie, man. Just pop 2 ibuprofens before you go to bed and a glass of water, and you're good.
The vodka too, though. I like vodka too. The vodka I can do though too. And I never liked mixing.
My favorite whiskey is Glenlivet. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
I'm going for whiskey.
I'll drink it, but I don't love it. That's not my favorite. Yeah, so I don't know. All right. What is Johnny Mac? You need an 85-inch screen, and you'll have no problem reading the chat. It's true. It's true. It's true. I just gotta stop being. I just gotta stop being cheap and buy a bigger computer. And buy a bigger Mac.
And he needs better lighting in there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why is my lighting really bad? You can see the look. You can see the shine on my head right there. Look.
It's a little dim. Yeah.
Yeah,
you can see the light, bro. It's like.
That's right. I got lighting. My wife set up my background here. The girly curtains.
Yeah. Oldie, baby. Old English. A Crazy Horse was my favorite one. What does Pat Donahue got to say? Pat Donahue is always my favorite comments in here. I can't look at him sometimes because he makes me laugh. Teenage McCarry used to love the 40-ounce of Crazy Horse in a paper bag, and some dumb cops wouldn't have stolen him. For the record, I always knew that bag thing was full of shit because I've had those interactions with cops early on. And they're like, bro, you're still drinking, you idiot. And I was like, yeah, good point. They're like, yeah, good point. You know, so yeah. Those were the days, bro. 2 for $3. You could get a Dutch Master or a Philly Blonde for like another 50 cents, and you were good. You know, nickel bag that Eric Adams could turn into 8 joint. You know,
I used to buy I used to buy as a kid. Also, I wasn't really a smoker, but I would just if we would go out and get St. Ides, some stupid drink, I would buy Camels. Remember Camels? Oh god, those are the first cigarettes I had. Terrible.
Oh, disgusting.
Terrible. Yeah, very low point.
Disgusting.
Not a proud moment.
But think about it. Everybody used to smoke though, right? Camels, Virginia Slims. You remember the old ladies used to smoke those Virginia Slims? They were always smoking.
Oh god,
them.
yeah. Look like skinny straws you stir your coffee with.
Give me a honey.
Oh,
like, oh god.
Oh my god. Take that lady.
Yeah. So funny. All right, peoples. All right, listen. Well, we appreciate everybody. We appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate all the engagement. And that's it. Yeah. What do we got? One more. Joe Roscoe. John, are you cut or have a hoodie? It's brick outside, bro. Are you cut?
I think he's talking about your. No, I think he's talking about your penis.
I think you're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm circumcised, bro. I'm good. I'm circumcised. Right. I'm not at the off the boat Italians with the, you know.
That's what I got out of this. Well, we know this episode after John went on a rant saying fuck about 40 times, and now we're talking about penises. There's no monetization here. I guess we won't make 42 cents.
Yeah. Don't worry. One of Eric Short's got 847,000 views this month, and he made 47 cents. So congratulations, Eric.
Oh, I thought I made 46 cents. Yes.
Oh, 46 cents. Maybe 47. You know, a couple 100,000 more views. You got, you know. So
that's right. I'm gonna start collecting union dues.
But no, it's free. Listen, it's freezing here in Florida. It's like a brisk 65. Northern Florida, you know. I got some first world problems I got to deal with. My golf cart's not starting. I don't know what's happening. So I got the golf cart guy coming here to fix it. You know, real first world people shit.
You say
know?
golf cart?
Yeah, bro. How do you think I drive around my neighborhood? I got a nice 6-seater golf cart jacked up on wheels. Yeah, dirt tires.
I saw
a lot of people have golf carts in Florida neighborhoods.
Yeah, the community I'm in Florida is all golf cart friendly. You could drive to the store, you could drive to school, you could drive to the doctors. It's pretty cool, you know. So that's why people like, oh, upper middle class cop. Yeah, maybe I'm not loaded, but NYPD could afford you a nice life. You just got to be smart with it, you know. Don't have a million baby mamas, and you'll be all right. Don't make sergeant, leave your wife, and have a kid with the rookie. And then make lieutenant and leave her and have another kid with the other rookie. And then make captain and leave her and have another, and you'll be all right. Like, you could live a nice life, you know? Like, don't, you know, the hot girl, listen, I'm going to give you guys all advice. Sergeant, lieutenant, captain. I'm going to give you a good advice. The hot girls in the command, or any of the girls in the command, don't take them to be a driver. It's not hard. Don't do it. Because guess what happens? You're putting yourself in a bad situation. You're like that cop that met the girl online, decided you're going to take her to a sleazebag motel. You're putting yourself in a bad situation. Stay married, stay a father of your children, and you're not going to have those problems. You don't want to deal with it. It's going to cost. You don't have money like that. You don't work you're not in the NBA, you're not in the NFL, you're not making $100 million like OBJ. Did you see Odell Beckham Jr.? He was crying that $100 million actually isn't a lot because he only made it in 5 years. I'm like, dude, that's like 40 times higher than the average American makes in their lifetime. Like,
well, I think it's more than 40 times higher.
You could afford a couple of baby mamas. You're a cop, you can't.
Well, listen, I can tell you what, that sleazy I'm not saying go to sleazy motels, but that sleazy motel is a lot cheaper than getting your driver pregnant and having to leave your wife and pay 25% for one lady, 25% for another. So with that, I would say stick to the sleazy motels.
Right.
Yeah, Tabitha, they kind of are. I've heard stories of captains calling about recruits in the academy, okay? Because they're hot. All right? So it happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I listen, I know that if I go to the mobile field forces right now, I'm positive I could go to a mobile field force right now, and I'm going to see a bunch of people freezing their ass off, and I'm going to see a boss driving around nice and warm, and there's going to be a hot girl sitting right next to him. I'm fully confident of it. And that's the difference with me. When I was a boss, the person that was sitting next to me was a big, ugly guy. Always. I chose him. I made him bigger and uglier than me. That's what I want.
You know what the funny part is? Half the time you see the sergeant and the hot girl in the car, the sergeant's the one driving.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. 100% true.
And he's driving. You got some
he picked her as his driver, and he's still driving.
Well, sometimes they're not even hot. They're just cop hot. You know, everybody knows what cop hot is. That's a different score.
True.
You got a big ugly guy with body odor driving with you, bro. You got no issues. You got to stay married. You're going to get your pension. Don't worry about it. There's nothing going to be. There's nothing weird's going to happen, dude. There's nothing weird going to happen. Like, you have a cop and you're driving with a girl, and I'm like, why am I with this girl? I don't want this girl in the car. Like, get her out of here. And there were times when I was single, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I just want to work with a dude. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, well,
get yourself in trouble that way, dude. You do. I'm telling you. Be smart. Be smart, guys. Don't go to that hotel. Don't take hot girls to drive you. Don't take any girls to drive you, for that matter.
So no short stay hotels. No 4-hour stays.
No 4-hour stays at the hotels.
Yeah.
If you're going to go online, go to a reputable site, right? Is that what we came? Reputable site, paid for site?
Here's the test if you're a true Staten Islander, John. Did you know about the loop in? Everybody knows. If you were 18 years old in Staten Island, you knew the loop in. Everybody knew that one.
So the loop, you could actually pay for like hourly rates, or you could rent the whole thing. So the loop had like all these themed rooms.
Yeah.
Like they had the Tarzan room. So funny. What I used to do when I was a kid.
They had the red room.
So what I would do is I would get the older girls to rent the room because I couldn't do it because you had to be 21. right? But they didn't take credit card. You didn't have to take credit cards, but you could pay cash. So I would have to get the older girls to rent a room, and then you have to sneak people in, and we would throw parties in those rooms. But those rooms were disgusting. Like one of them was like a cave, and it had like a pool in the bottom of it.
Yep.
And like it was, I was like, and people would go swimming in the pool. I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. I was dumb as shit when I was 16, 17 years old, but I wasn't that stupid. I was like, I'm not getting any of that shit.
Well, when I was 16, 17 years old, I stuck in there too, but I didn't even need an hour stay. I think 10 minutes was enough. KB in New York City says, I didn't even know this. The Loop was owned by a corrections officer. They gave you uniform member service discounts. I didn't even know that MOS went there. I went there when I was a kid, man. I wasn't even old enough to drive.
I didn't know that. Yeah, they gave you an MO. Is it still there? I don't even know if it's still there.
I don't know.
Marlon, you wouldn't know about the Loop because it was like right over the bridge in Jersey.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn people used to go to the Loop too, like Bay Ridge, Dyka, Bensonhurst. They went to the Loop too. The Loop was famous, man. That was a famous spot. I don't know if it's still there. And then there was another spot that opened up after that, and I can't remember.
Yeah, there was another spot close by there. It was called, trying to remember, Horizon or something like that. It was near the Club Abyss.
Yeah. Where was Abyss again? Where was it? I could hear was it Lodi, New Jersey? Oh, I think we lost Eric. Did we lose Eric?
Oh, yeah. Eric Starlink went out. Yeah.
The Starlink drop. There you go, Eric. He got in trouble. Or maybe his wife just heard him talking about the Loop and Club. She pulled the plug.
Yeah.
She pulled the plug.
I didn't know about the Loop, but I had something else. It's called my bedroom when the parents aren't home, you know?
Nah, my mother would beat the shit out of me, dude. She was like, "Don't you bring a girl in my house?" Blah blah blah. You little dirtbag. Like, because I had two older sisters. My sisters are like 10 years older than me, so like I was like I couldn't. I had to. Yeah. That's why I left home early.
Yeah.
So I got my.
I memorized my dad's schedule. I know he's gone at like 9:30, and I got about 7 hours.
My car was my first apartment, though. That was my first apartment. Then I realized I had a little Nissan 240 SX. Then I realized it was too tight. Like, it's not really good with for like if you're gonna use it as an apartment when you're out on dates. So then my next car was a 1980 Pat Donahue. Listen to this, 1980 Cadillac Eldorado, baby. That car was beautiful. That was the best car ever. Yeah. That was a great car.
Yeah, I also had at one point I had we had like a basement apartment, and like my relatives moved out. I remember I was down there one night, and then we turned off all the lights, and then I see the light come on upstairs, and I hear creaking down the steps. I'm like, oh shit, I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, yeah. I one night, this girl, and I wasn't. We didn't even have sex or anything. Like, I don't even know why she was in my house, but for some reason, like, something happened. Actually, I remember what happened. Long story, and I'm not gonna get into it on here, but whatever. I'm like, all right, you could sleep over my house, whatever. So I like sneak her in my house. It's like late at night, and then I hear like my mother's like calling me, and I'm like, yo, go in the closet, and I like. And my closet was like this big, so she's like hiding in the closet. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And like that was a funny night. And then I had to sneak her out again. Like it was. I think my parents like went to church, or I forget what the hell they did, and then I had to sneak her out again. So I had her in the house extra long, and I was like, that's when I realized I was like, I'm never doing this again. But we didn't even do anything. Like I wasn't like for whatever reason, I was just like, "Hey, you can sleep in my house. Don't worry about it." But my mother would she wouldn't beat the shit out of the girl. Like, my mother was nice, but she would beat the shit out of her. Like,
yeah.
For doing that, because she would have just thought all the worst things.
Yeah. Same here. Funny enough, I think my dad realized what was going on, because like a week later, I tried to go downstairs and the door was locked. Because I think he found out, because I had to leave like the bed sheet in the closet. And I remember thinking, damn, he must have found out. But by then, I'm like in my early, I was like, what? I just turned 21. I was like, yeah, man, it's time. It's time. I gotta start looking. It's the time to get out of here. You know.
Yo, I got kicked off, but at least it gave me an opportunity to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I knew. I knew he went to pee. I'm telling you, that's what he does. I'm telling you.
I went to the
anything else? We were reminiscing, bro. We thought your wife pulled the plug because she heard you talking about the loop.
I went to the loop in real quick.
Yeah.
What was the other one called, by the way? The one by Abyss. Did you remember the name?
I can't remember, dude. I can't remember.
I don't remember either. Shit.
But I hated Jersey. It's like I like the Jersey Shore, but like only now because I'm older and I don't go out. Because like they never let me in any clubs, bro. Like DJs, I would always have an issue with, like, you know. And then like it just I was always afraid of Jersey. So I had so many bad interactions with Jersey cops. They were much different than New York City guys. You know, in New York City you could get away with shit. Jersey, you're screwed. You're screwed. They're looking to hang you for like nothing. You know.
Where was that one with the big gravel parking lot? I forgot that club. I got to fight with a couple of bouncers over there years ago.
Abyss, Hunka Bunka?
Not Hunka. No, it wasn't Hunka Bunka. It was close by Abyss. It was in some big parking lot. Anyway, bunch of juice bags.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I had a good time at Abyss. That was a good time. Good time. But I had more fun. The best clubs were in Manhattan. Limelight, Palladium, Sound Factory. Those were a good time. That was cool.
Yep. I liked Limelight a lot. I thought that was one of my favorite ones. I always thought the hip hop room that was going to cave, like it was going to collapse because the floor would move. I was like, I don't think this place is too safe. You know.
Are you talking about the tunnel? That place was crazy.
Tunnel was crazy. True story. My good friend's black kid, but he looks very similar to me for whatever reason. And at the time we were young, we were like 17. I had an eyebrow ring. I had a spike in my eyebrow, and he did too. So somebody like told us about the tunnel. So we're like, yo, let's go to the city. So me and him go to the city, and I didn't know there were two lines in the tunnel. There's a gay line, and then there's the regular line. So we're walking up. And the guy that's in charge of the gay line's like, hey, look at you two cuties. And he's like, come in. And he lets us in. We don't have to even pay, right? So we were like talking with him, joking with him. We can tell he's gay, whatever. We don't think anything of it. But it sends you into like a different part of the tunnel. Bro, we had to like run out of that room into like where the main area was because we were getting like roped. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But then after that, I always went in the gay line because I never paid it.
Was that your first experience?
So I always went in because I was like, I didn't have to show ID. I wasn't anywhere near old enough, and I didn't have to pay anything. It was great.
Listen, I had a great time at a gay bar one time. I'll never forget. I was with an old girlfriend, and we're walking in the West Village. You remember that place called Blazing Saddles? I don't know if it's still there. All I know is we didn't even realize what it was. And we were just bar hopping. So we walked in. The door opens, and it's this big, giant drag queen. I'll never forget. It must have been like 6'5". And she, whatever, was like, oh, look, straight guy. So I was like,
yeah.
I'm trying to leave. And there's a guy sitting there, and we end up naming him Gay Pete. So Pete goes, are you sure you want to leave? It's 2 for 1. I'm like, 2 for 1. All right. So we end up hanging out with Gay Pete all night. I actually laughed my ass off. It was hilarious.
Yeah. I didn't have a kid. I know. I thought that show was funny, dude. I never kid. You know?
Daniel Cazerno says, from dating sites to gay bars, this is some show. Yeah. And the funny part is we said we're going to be doing this for 2 hours. Now we're talking about gay bars at 3 hours.
Look, I mean, but if you remember the club scene in New York, it was like you had to know people to get into the club. Like, you know what I mean? You had to know people. Like, so like not know people, but like you either waited online like a sucker or you went right up. So the gay dude at the front liked us. So I was like, whatever. We just went there. Like anytime we went there, and then other people you'd have to know. Like, all right, I know this kid from the neighborhood, whatever it is. Like, you know, like it was good. It was a fun time. But yo, listen, let's run. I got to deal with the first world problems. I forgot I actually told Jack, let's have a meeting. We're only going to do 2 hours. And I see him texting me now. So we did 3 hours. So
Jack,
All right.
reported for duty, sir.
Jack, I blame you. You could have texted me earlier, and I blame Eric. All right. Let's hit the road, people. Did I miss any super chats, or we're good? No, I think we got everything.
We're starting to start collecting union dues over here.
Yeah,
I don't see any.
All right.
All right. Finest Unfiltered, baby.
All right.
Let's bring Jack up. Jack, what's up, bro?
I didn't even know that I was
Jack, you're live.
chat room. I just hit enter studio and it automatically put screw StreamYard. Anyway,
No. I pulled you up.
Yeah.
Oh, you just pulled me up? Yeah. It was interesting because I was thinking that this was going to be a 2-hour show and that we were going to have a nice little meeting. And then I realized I had a call at noon. So we had to expedite the process of talking about gay bars and skipping lines and going to shady motels in New Jersey.
Jack,
this was really.
Jack, I totally forgot about our meeting, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I totally was like, oh yeah, I was like,
Jack, do you have any gay bar stories?
Bro.
Well,
No,
we are
I don't.
unfiltered, you know.
I don't have any crazy gay bar stories. Once I showed up at a gay bar and someone, like a drag queen who was twice my size, like put their arms around me and like grabbed me, and I felt super uncomfortable and I ran out of the carpet. No, and like the drag queen had like huge boobs that were like shaking in my face as I call it it, not he or she, because it was neither. It grabbed me. But no, it's an interesting conversation. And back to the earlier point about dating apps, just real quick before we wrap up and have our meeting. Like in today's day and age, you have to know someone for everything. You have to know someone to find a girlfriend, to find a companion, to get a job. It's like there's no spontaneous meeting people anymore because we're so dependent and reliant upon the internet.
True.
What do you think, Jack? You're young. Like, what do you think about are there any reputable dating sites? Like, do you use any dating sites?
Oh, that's a good point.
Honestly, the best luck I've had on dating apps came from the app JSwipe, which is like a Jewish person's dating site. But the caveat there is you have to pay $55 a month to get a premium subscription. All of a sudden, when you get the subscription, you start getting more matches. All of the other ones like Tinder and Bumble are just a scam. I went on Tinder the other day and I matched with someone. We started messaging each other. She gave me her Snapchat and then a link to an OnlyFans account where I had to pay her $100 a month. So I wasn't. And mind you, this was the second time this week that I encountered an OnlyFans girl. The first time I was at a wellness festival and we were doing like cold plunges. She jumped on my lap, started talking to me, gave me her phone number, said text me later. And then when I texted her, she's like, here's a link to my OnlyFans account. And it was like really a very generic message too. It was like $50 a month. And then she started sending me photos where I had to pay like $80 to $100 to unlock the specific photo. Such a ripoff, isn't it? No genuine people in the world anymore.
Wow. So you're meeting regular girls and they're trying to get you to sign. That's actually, these girls are smart, dude.
They're smart girls.
That's really, that girl's an entrepreneur, bro.
Yeah, the one who jumped on my lap at the wellness festival where we were doing a cold plunge together and gave me her phone number and then said I need to subscribe to her OnlyFans account. I wonder how many other guys she had done this to beforehand. Like, did she do this every weekend where she goes out to events and gives people her OnlyFans account? I'm also now cautious about other women I meet being OnlyFans models because I can't trust anyone anymore.
Jack, KB in New York City says, forget the coffee and donuts. We have to donate to Jack for his OnlyFans.
Listen, I actually got no issue with it. Look, girls are going out. They're getting hit on every night, right? They're getting hit on every night. They're like, these guys don't like me. They don't want to marry me. They just want to have sex with me. And so they're like, they utilize that and they're weaponizing it to make it a business and to profit off of. Listen, I wouldn't be happy if my daughter was doing it, but like, gotta say, it's pretty entrepreneurial. I mean, dude, like think about if you go out on a weekend on a Saturday night in New York City, how many guys are you going to interact with? 50, 60, sometimes 100. If you get 10% of them to subscribe to you and you do that over a month, you're making some pretty nice change. Like you're making some pretty good money, dude. You're driving a really nice car. And what are you doing? You taking a few photos of yourself? Son said you got exported, bro.
I wonder what the average
I
OnlyFans
think
girl
that
makes.
is true, but I don't like how women have kind of capitalized on the circumstances of the situation to predatorily so take advantage of men, whether it be the OnlyFans girl I met. Another woman who I know from my neighborhood, she lives in my neighborhood, she's an Instagram influencer. No one knows what her actual job is, but she constantly posts videos about being like, not wanting to go to certain events and meet people because like guys are saying, I'm looking forward to meeting you there. And then 2 days later, she posts another video about how sad she is that she's not getting married anytime soon. And she has anxiety about having kids because she's in her early 30s now. So like women in this country are going through an identity crisis. Some of them are also in South Florida getting like these Botox and filler injections that make them look like extremely grotesque. I don't know. It's like women are the new men in a lot of different ways.
Well, look, I to be fair, I think they just see a huge business opportunity there, and I don't blame them. Before they were doing it for free on Instagram and for free, not for free, because let's get real. Everybody's making money on the internet, right? Like you got money, the more, but like they're weaponizing that, and I don't know. Like I'm not really against it, but my thing is this: like if I meet a girl, if I was single and I met a girl, and she was trying to sell me her OnlyFans account, my only thing is to get free activation now. Like, no. I don't pay for girls. You're going to give me free access to your account. Like, and that's how I would maneuver it that way to keep that conversation going.
So this story actually gets crazier because when she sent me the link to her OnlyFans account, I realized it was going to be hard to go out with her. So I said, can I just take you out on a date to a nice restaurant? And she told me she would give me a 50% discount to the OnlyFans subscription. If I did that. So I don't know, but I'm not sure if you guys heard of Sophie Rain. She's like an OnlyFans model in Miami who has a net worth of $80 to $83 million just for OnlyFans. And she hasn't had sex with anyone. She's a virgin, like an extreme Christian who doesn't want to have sex till marriage. She just makes money off sending guys photos of her tits. It's insane.
Do you believe that she's making $83 million and she's a virgin? I highly doubt it, but okay.
Well, she's a virgin until some prince from Dubai or Qatar comes and offers her, 10 million to have a good night.
Yeah.
83 million. I mean, God bless her. I mean, that's great. I didn't even know who that was. I mean, but I know girls are making big money on that shit.
So, Jack, we talked about what's a reputable dating site. What's like a sleazy online dating site? I have no idea what these sites are. What's a sleazy one?
Oh, Tinder is easily the most sleazy. Because
is it? Okay.
Still exists, that one?
Which one?
Tinder still exists? I thought that was a joke.
Tinder still exists. I just canceled my $54.99 per month subscription because I kept getting catfished by random people and it was making me feel really uneasy and uncomfortable. But yeah, Tinder sucks. Bumble stinks. I think you just need to go out and be fearless in social situations. That's been where I've had the most success. And also for all of the men in their late 20s, early 30s, you begin to realize that desperate single women who are a couple years older than you are going to start to latch on to you, and that's going to be where you find your most success. Just food for thought.
Can a guy your age meet girls without online? Can you actually meet them in person, like old school?
It's very, very hard, and it's hard because people are like dependent and reliant upon their phone for everything. And if they're uncomfortable in a social situation, they're just going to go on this. So it's like for me, I put my phone on airplane mode every time I'm out with people, so I can enjoy social companionship. But sadly, women don't employ the same mentality. You can meet someone organically, but it's a lot harder, and you have to make an effort to put yourself out there.
Jack, just go for the MILFs, bro, because they don't want any attachment. I'll
tell you, the late 30s, early 40s is like the perfect window because they already had a man that cheated with them earlier on that they're upset about. They realize that they're probably not going to be having children, so they just want to hook up and have fun. There's something to be said to think about older women.
You know what, Jack? You could just wait outside family court and pick up all the divorced women.
Dude, if I was you, I target older divorced women, right? And then you take them out.
Find the sugar mama, Jack.
And the big take, whatever, and you take them out, and that's how you get the notoriety from the young girls, because they're gonna be like, "Look at her, that's disgusting," and then you'd be like, "Oh no, she's just my friend. I just feel bad for her," and that could be the way in, bro.
I think you should hook up with Stifler's mom. What was that? American Pie?
Stifler's mom, yeah.
Jennifer Coolidge, yeah.
Nah, Jack is in South Florida. He needs to find a sugar mama out there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
You should
agree
go
with
to like
that.
a 55 and over community and find some woman that's on her deathbed.
Well, the sad thing, Eric, is that 50% of dermatologists in South Florida finished in the bottom 50% of their class, and they're bad at doing the Botox injections and the fake boobs and all that stuff. So, I mean,
I don't like all that shit anyway.
the modifications start to get a little scary looking at some point. I mean, too many women look like the Green Goblin more than hot chicks nowadays.
I don't like all that stuff. Honestly, I don't like all that fake stuff. I think, and this is my message to women out there, and I know we have a lot of women here. Flaws are sexy too. Flaws are sexy too. So I don't like I don't like all that fake stuff.
Popeye says wear a wedding ring, and I'll tell you that is true. I don't wear a wedding ring. I went out one night. We went to, I think it was Murma in the Borgata. I go out, I have a wedding ring on. And literally we're in there for 4 seconds. This girl comes up to me. She's talking to me. And I'm like, I'm still nice. Like, I like to talk to girls, you know? So like, I'm talking to her. She's like, hey, you want to go back to my room? I'm like, no, I'm married. She goes, yeah, me too. I was like, yeah, but I'm happily married. You know?
She was happily married too.
And so I was telling my friend, he's like, yo, what the hell was she saying to you? I was like, she was telling me she wants to take me back to her room. And he's like, you still got it, you ugly bastard. And I was like, yeah. I was like, it was weird. I was like, but I think it was the wedding ring that like did it. And so now I don't wear a wedding ring, and either I got ugly or girls just don't like me. I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah.
You guys got to exist during the golden age of the early 2000s, though. I know that all of you were fist pumping at DJs in Belmar, winging and slinging it.
I wasn't allowed in DJs.
And Temptations. Boom, boom.
Martell's, Seaside Heights.
Motels I went to a bunch of times.
Tiki bar.
Tabitha just hasn't met the right man. Look, she's like, I be telling men I don't want a man. You're all lying. Older women don't be going for that. You just haven't met the right guy, Tabitha.
That's true. She hasn't met the man that swept her off her feet yet. That's what it is.
You know?
She will. You
know? She never drove Sergeant McCarry, you know? No.
Well, you know what they say in the NYPD?
You never drove a Lieutenant Dem. No, you know?
They say in the NYPD, when you get promoted, you get better looking. So
it's true. It's true. Yeah, crazy 10-7. You know, we got to give these young cops advice too, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Love with the Finest Unfiltered.
All right. Look, we gotta go. Come on, because seriously, I got first world problems. I gotta deal with.
I'm good. I went to the bathroom. I'm good.
All right, look, everybody. Happy Friday, Jack. Anything you want to tell the Finest Unfiltered audience before we get going?
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, if you're an OnlyFans model and you want to connect your business to the Finest Unfiltered in some capacity, hit me up, because I think there could be room for opportunity here with John's head shaven stuff, Eric's outfits, my young charisma, Marlon's mic freezing, and all of his webcam and technological issues as well. So listen, you're an OnlyFans model, you want to do business with us, hit us up.
Yeah, that's it. Tab said she never drove the boss because she sucks at driving. Funny shit. Shout out to UKB. Thank you. Yeah, all right. I think that's it, people. I think we're gonna get what's our latest thing? We'll get a Finest Unfiltered dating suggestion site. Finest Unfiltered mushroom coffee. It's coming, right?
Finest Unfiltered Thirsty Thursdays. Yeah, what happened at that Thursday night slot?
And the Finest Unfiltered Union.
And then what about the cigars, Eric? Finest Unfiltered cigars.
Oh yeah, that's been my goal. I want to have the Finest Unfiltered filtered cigars. Eddie West, help me out. The Finest Unfiltered filtered.
The finest filtered.
No, the finest
unfiltered.
What do we think? Like, I'm thinking. I personally think John Shell should become a member of the Finest Unfiltered.
I love it.
I'm thinking he either gets the Finest Filtered with John Shell or Happy Hour with John Shell.
I think it's. Oh, dude, come on. It's Happy Hour with John Shell. John Shell, we're going to give you your own show. You said you're doing big things. You're going to have your own hour. It's going to be Happy Hour, but he can't do it after 9 because we have to be sober. So we'll Happy Hour with John Shell.
There has to be a limitation on the number of drinks that he can have during said happy hour as well, because once he crosses the line, there's no going back. That guy goes on tirades no less than 4 times a week on X. We need to control that if we're going to be encouraging drinking on our program now.
What do you think if we have
before 10?
What do you think if we have Angry John and Freaky Jeff? So he's the real Angry John, the real Angry John Shell, and then they team up. And then they could have and then you have guest appearances by Kaz and Tariq.
Yeah,
Well, I thought Kaz was getting a job with Trump. What happened to that?
I don't know.
Kaz woke up.
Yeah, it's gonna be Thirsty Thursdays, guys. The name is perfect. Yeah, Thirsty Thursdays. And
we do have a slot open for Thursday night. We do have that's John Shell. If you were thinking about it, Thursday nights could be Joyce's Tavern with John Shell.
Pat Donahue says shots with Shell. Rod says live from my stool.
How about take a shot every time John Shell says something stupid? We'd be all passed out by the end of the
I don't have that much alcohol with me.
Yeah,
Oh man, I'd have to restock. I'd have to.
That's it, dude. Eddie West, got to help me out, brother. We need the finest unfiltered filtered cigars, man. Get our own label. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. We can put that together quick. That's easy.
You
The
think
mushroom
Jeffrey
coffee
Management,
that we need to work on.
you think Jeffrey Management and John Shell ever got it on? You think they may be secret lovers too or not?
I don't know. But listen, we can't take credit for the Freaky Jeff. That is 100% Corey Pegues. That he coined that phrase, Freaky Jeff. Every time anyone brings up his name, that's all I hear. I see. I just see Corey Pegues say Freaky Jeff.
He's spot on. Yeah.
Hey, we should use that voiceover for that. Anytime something like that comes up, or Cash for Ass, we bring up Freaky Jeff.
Yeah.
Gotta have the photo of him wearing that white robe with his fat stomach hanging out too.
Actually, the funny part is John Shell, he gets so angry with us. I don't have any animosity. I don't hate him. I don't feel I think he's a complete idiot, but he makes me laugh. I don't wish the guy any harm. He's actually entertaining.
Dude, everyone's like, "Oh, you should fight him in a smoker." I'm like, first of all, he's much older than me, and and secondly, I don't even not like the guy. I could care less. I'm just not a fan of him. That's it. I just think he was a shit chief of department. I'm not mad. He's entitled to his opinion. He thinks I was a shit cop. I'm like, okay. I think he was a shitty chief of department. Okay, we got a lot in common.
He makes fun. He makes fun of RV park stuff.
I think he has a lot of deep-seated issues, but I got no hate for the guy. I don't have any hate for any of them. Even that piece of shit, Eric Adams, I don't hate. I don't have enough energy for it. I just think he was a shit cop. He was a shit state senator. He was a shit borough president, and he's a worse mayor than all of them. So that's it. So all right, let's hit the road, peoples.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jack. Thanks for making us stay longer, Jack. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. And I also, ironically enough, during this time, I got a text message from the OnlyFans model that I met at the event. She now created an Amazon wish list as well, where all of her fans can go buy her things that she can't. So it's a wonderful life as a woman nowadays. She's also a couple years older than me too, in her mid-30s. So interesting to see the natural progression of things.
I got a question for you before you go. Do you think, just because now that I guess I'm getting old, do you think 30s is old?
No, I don't think 30s is old, but 30s is a point when people start to think holy crap, am I never going to meet someone? Am I never going to be able to have kids? I need to get it right now.
Tabitha Foster says that's a smart woman. Yeah, you're not kidding. She's very smart. God bless her.
Listen, anybody want to promote their OnlyFans account on the Finest Unfiltered? Let us know. We'll charge us a small fee. We just want a little royalty for everyone. Every account that signs up. But yeah, listen, it is what it is. But look, you got to be honest, Eric. We're at the age. I'm 45 right now, and someone sent me a meme the other day. He's like, I'm old enough now that I just realized that the MILFs are really just women my age.
Dude, that's so true.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, man, I'm old.
You know what's sad? Sometimes I go to jiu-jitsu and the guys they're walking around holding their knee and shoulder, I'm hurting. Guys I'm getting old. How old are you? He's 42. I'm like, oh damn. I find out you're younger than me. Shit, I'm closer to 50 than I am 45.
Yeah. Pat Donahue says feet pick, gentlemen. The gold is in the feet pick. It's funny. This girl keeps popping up. Yeah. This girl, I forget what her name is. Feehan or something. She's a comedian. She's a pretty little Irish girl, whatever. She got a big butt, but she keeps popping up on my Instagram, and I'm like, she is smart, dude. She gets 1 million views on all her things. She gets a few million views. She's definitely making money on Instagram because what she does is she hosts a podcast, and she just crosses her barefoot and she just crosses her feet there. And then I was like reading the comments because I'm like, this girl's she's got a good ploy. It's either something with her butt or something with her feet. And when you read the comments, they're like, show me those toes, baby. I'm
yeah.
was
Believe
smart.
it or not, there's something called only feet. Oh, there used to be anyway, because I remember making
this
jokes about
conversation has gone on a little too long. It went to a very dangerous place.
I'm with Pat Donahue because you said Irish girl with a big butt. I'm like, man, I don't think I've ever seen that, but okay, that sounds like a unicorn.
Luhan, her name is. She's a pretty famous comedian. She's pretty funny. Yeah. She's pretty funny, but like that was her ploy to like get social media traction. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, that is really like, she's smart, man. I was like, she's really smart because like no one's even listened to a comedy. They're like, you got all these perverts that are just like they're all totally engaged in you because of like what you're putting out on your thing. It's pretty funny, dude. So shout out to what's her name? Do you have her up, Marlon?
I'm sorry.
Do you have that girl up, Kelly Feehan or whatever? What's her name?
Feedhand? Is it Feedhand?
No, Feehan. I can't think of her name. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But just to Jack's point, like women have realized how to monopolize the gift that they have, and that is to attract men. Like and we're a bunch of suckers. Like, and you know, it is what it is.
We are. We're like the people who believe that Andrew Cuomo had a chance of winning the mayoral election. Like we go out to events thinking we're going to meet a woman. We get a phone number. We're all excited. We think we're about to get married. And then boom, the OnlyFans model hits you. And it's like, oh, wow, I have to pay $50 a month for this too. Damn.
You know why?
Yeah.
It's like the line in one of my favorite movies, The Principal. Anybody ever see The Principal? 1987 with James Belushi. And he goes, we are stupid men. That's what it is, because we're stupid men.
Yeah. No, you can do it too, Jack. You just gotta you hit the gym and then you take a lot of pictures. Next, put on a suit and take some nice fancy pictures. You know what I'm saying? Take a picture like go travel places and take pictures. Okay. And that's the men version of it, you know. And
yeah, I got to start orienting myself towards becoming a trophy husband. There's trophy wives. I have to be a trophy husband for someone who's 50 years old and got cheated up 20 years.
Then you just got to find a sugar mama.
Yeah,
That's
my strategy.
Who is this? I see. Is this Chronicles? Yeah, Chronicles. It's really a thing. It is a thing. Only feed is a thing. Google it.
Donahue says there's women making a fortune selling worn socks. That's weird. But look, you know, here's the other thing though. Girls are weirdos too. Girls have fetishes too. Like there's girls that are into this. You know, they like ugly and bald. There's girls that like fat guys. Like I knew a girl that was like had a fetish for fat dudes. Like so, like you got to realize that too. So like guys got to be a little smart too. You got to weaponize it back. Well, like you know what my friend used to do, and it actually works. It's really good. Like tell a really pretty girl that she's ugly. Like she falls in love with you like instantly after that. It's like, you know, it's like because like she has her even though all these guys are attracted to her, she's like, why doesn't that guy like me? You know what I mean? Like what's going on?
Reject her. Yeah. Reject her.
So when she sends you the OnlyFans account, be like, would never date a girl with OnlyFans.
That's what they say. you throw them an insult and they're yours. You know, that's it. They're coming after you. But hey, listen, almost 3.5 hours into it. Jack, thanks for coming on. We appreciate a good time. I hope everyone had a good laugh. Sometimes you just got to have a little fun. Your Friday roundtable, a lot of good information. Thank you to our friends and listeners that are always here and even our trolls. Outstanding. We got some work to do, right, Jack? All right, guys. Everybody be good. Finest Unfiltered. Thank you.
All right. Next week.
Better people.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?